Tonight, a critical test in the race for the White House. 5 Republicans battling to become their party's 2024 presidential nominee. The candidates ready to make their case on why they're prepared to be commander-in-chief amid 2 wars on the world stage, how they plan to tackle stubborn inflation, and how they can unite a deeply divided electorate. Who is best to take on President Biden? And can any of them first beat former President Trump, who's far ahead in the polls? The candidates are here. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, former UN Ambassador Nikki Haley, entrepreneur Vivek Ramaswamy, former New Jersey Governor Chris Christie, and South Carolina Senator Tim Scott.
From NBC News, the Republican Presidential Debate. Live from the Adrian Arst Center in Miami, Florida.
She is going for the popcorn. Is she sniffing it? Will you eat it? Because it has garlic on it, which is poison to you.
Is it?
Yeah, garlic's bad for cats.
Bad or like poison?
It's poison. Like they can have like a tiny trace amount is fine, but like if they eat like
a clove.
I forget how much it was, like a half a clove of garlic, I think can kill a cat.
Damn, they're so weak.
Yeah. You like poison. You like poison and adhesives. Welcome to the Trashcats Trashcast. I'm Richard.
I'm Steven.
And today we're going to do our duty as Americans and listen to the Republican primary debate, like the true patriots we are.
We're starting 2024, year of the Trash Cat, hardcore, by bashing some Republican clowns. We even made popcorn.
Hell yeah.
But first, how was your week?
The week went by pretty fast. Had family over and some other, the capacity stuff. Having a lot of anxiety this week.
Why?
I don't know. I don't know. It's like kind of popped up randomly a few times like that.
What are you so scared of?
Exactly. I don't know. It was like right before my family came over and I was like,
well, there we go.
My mom's like setting up the house downstairs and I was like, I just got home from work and I knew they were going to be here in like a couple hours. And I was like, I just need give me like 30 minutes because like my heart was pounding and I was like, yeah, I usually get it when I'm at the grocery store and there's too many fucking people and everyone's like in the fucking way. Yeah, I started feeling that like in my living room and I don't like that.
So it's your family's fault.
Yep, it's their fault.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
That makes sense. That tracks.
That tracks. How about you? How's your week been?
Oh, man. Well, first off, popcorn, big mistake. I forgot how much my cat likes popcorn. Mm-hmm. And, I'm trying to record a podcast, and now I have to fend her off the whole time. She's swiping at me left and right now. It's big mistake on my part.
Peace for you, peace for her.
Yeah. She really does like it. I always feed her a couple at the end. But holy shit. All right. My week. So I was eating cheesecake yesterday. Okay. Let me start there. I got
Beautiful,
popcorn
wonderful.
now. But yesterday I also had cheesecake. And I was editing the previous week's podcast. And the combination of listening to myself combined with cheesecake was fucking unbearable. Cheesecake Steven does not like microphone Steven. I'm telling you, dude, if you ever want to feel really bad about yourself, go eat cheesecake and listen to a past version of yourself who doesn't have cheesecake. It is wild.
Let me tell you, if I was a mobster, my nickname would be Cheesecake Ricky.
Dude, that should just be your nickname anyway.
Anyways, Cheesecake Ricky over here.
Oh yeah, dude. I love it. I am excited about recording this Republican debate. Honorable mentions? Anything?
I got nothing.
I actually have one. That's so good that we're going to talk about it another day. But I'll briefly mention it. It's a book that I've listened to like 3 times this week called Nietzsche and the Nazis. So fucking good.
Yeah?
It's so good. It's a retrospective on how I swear to God, I always thought it was Nietzsche, and then I hear smarter people than me say Nietzsche, and now I don't know who to trust anymore. But it's a retrospective about how his writings were perverted against his will by the Nazis, and examining how parts of his philosophies did line up with the Nazis too. But it's a very interesting book that I think loves. One of the lines I like the most about it is those who burn books also burn bodies type of deal. Really cool. Very interesting. But we'll save that for next time. The debate that we're going to watch today in full is the third GOP presidential primary debate in Miami. Now you may be wondering, why? Why this debate? I have a very good answer. I'm so distracted trying not to eat this popcorn.
Yeah, it's right there.
It's so good. Okay, this debate, it shows the whole spectrum of Republican stupidity. The Donald doesn't even have to be there, and it's still an exquisite display of clownery, only attainable by Republican stooges. Now, I want you to keep this question in mind as you listen, and hopefully we'll circle back to it later on. But should the American people have the freedom to vote and elect a dictator? Because you're either going to get one with Trump, or you're going to be voting for one of these fucking idiots who support him. Mm-hmm. And I think it'll be fun. I love, there's nothing more I love than bashing a Republican's brains in, you know?
it's like a nice cup of coffee in the morning, or like the first cigarette of the day.
Absolutely. Just smearing the face paint off a clown. It's the best. You ready for this?
Yeah, let's fucking get it going.
3, 2, 1.
Tonight, a critical test in the race for the White House.
Bro, that music goes so hard.
5 Republicans battling to become their party's 2024
They're ready for it.
Presidential
They're
nominee.
battling. This is a war.
Ready to make their case on why they're prepared to be commander-in-chief amid 2 wars on the world stage.
Disgusting.
How they plan to tackle stubborn
This is the best they got,
how
too.
they can unite a deeply divided
The
electorate.
fake-ass patriotism
Who
is
best to
actually
take on
disgusting.
President Biden? And can any of them first beat former President Trump, who's far ahead of
Fucking no.
The candidates are here. Florida
They're here?
Governor Ron DeSantis. Former
Yes!
UN
Oh, boy.
Ambassador Nikki Haley.
Fuck yeah!
Entrepreneur Vivek Ramaswamy. Former New Jersey
Fucking who?
Governor Chris Christie. And South Carolina
Big man.
Senator Tim Scott.
Tim Cow Liquor Scott.
NBC News, the Republican presidential
Oh, it's by
debate,
MSNBC?
live from the Adrian Arst Center in Miami, Florida.
But they're fake news, Steven.
Let's go!
Let's fucking go.
Miami!
Getting a hype over the fucking
Who's gonna be the president?
And good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Republican presidential debate. I'm Lester Holt.
Look at these
anchor of
cardboard
NBC
puppets.
Nightly News.
Kristen Welker, moderator of NBC's Meet the Press.
They look like they were killed a week ago and they're just being puppeted.
I mean, yeah, the two on the side do kind of look like the fucking, was it Walter and Stance or whatever, the Muppets that were the old men that just made shitty jokes.
This dude's voice is phony as fuck. I don't believe him. He's a phony.
You fucking egghead. Just
Fucking egghead looking motherfucker trying to control this stage. You can't control these Republican candidates. They're uncontrollable.
I mean, imagine holding a debate for people who don't like you, and also their entire voting base, that people that like them also hate you,
And no one's listening to you.
and no one gives a fuck. no matter what you say, you're still the enemy.
You know, I'm glad we talked over all the rules because none of them matter anyway.
Yeah, they don't fucking matter.
It's such a stupid setup to begin with. Like, avoidant of any conversation of substance. You have 10 seconds to reply.
Please hold your applause so that the candidates
Hey, audience. Shut the fuck up.
All right, our first question, the opening question, is one for all of you.
All right,
Donald Trump is the first ex-president in more than 100 years to run for the White House again, and he remains popular among Republican primary voters as his legal challenges mount. Governor DeSantis, let me begin with you on this one. Speak to Republican voters who are supporting Donald Trump. Why should you and not him be the Republican nominee to face Joe Biden a year from now?
This country is in trouble.
Look at DeSantis, this angry little elf.
They don't care about you. They don't care that you're having to grapple with higher grocery prices or have higher gas prices. They don't care that your family's less secure because of the open border that's allowed drugs and even terrorists to come into this country. Well, I care.
Oh,
I am
fuck yeah, dude.
And let this country continue its downward spiral.
He still didn't actually answer the question.
And we need it
He
now.
never does.
I'll take the hits.
Yeah.
I'll take the arrows. I'll take the slings.
Don't take my
Ultimately,
shit, bro.
It's not about me. It's about you. I will fight for you. I will make sure to lead this country's revival, and
He's going to win for you, Stephen, and your family.
My boy doesn't know how to fight. He just knows how to litigate it afterwards.
He knows how to force feed in me.
Yeah.
As a veteran, I will get the job done. Now, if you look where we
Well
are, it's a lot
practiced.
different than we were in 2016. And Donald Trump's a lot different guy than he was in 2016. He owes it to you to be on this stage and explain why he should get another chance. He should explain why he didn't have Mexico pay for the border wall. He should explain why he racked up so much debt. He should explain why he didn't drain the swamp. And he said Republicans were going to get tired of winning.
Trump should not do any of those things. You know why?
Why?
Because it's worked. What he's doing by not answering is working. He doesn't need to explain why he didn't get the wall done. He doesn't even need to be at the fucking debate. And this whole stage full of candidates are so pathetic that Trump's polling went up afterwards.
Yeah, you can't.
It's insane.
You can't go at him when when he doesn't give them ammo.
Well, he's polling so much higher. It would only hurt him to answer these things.
Yeah, exactly. He doesn't have to. That's why he doesn't show up to any of these.
Yeah, and there's some other reasons too. But yeah, it just would hurt him because these people are so pathetically behind. Now, while he's still on screen, I would like to give a little intro to the angry elf DeSantis. You wanna read him in?
Yeah, let's talk about fucking my boy Meatball Ron DeSantis.
Oh, yeah.
Honestly, the funniest thing that Trump ever said was fucking Meatball Ron.
High heels DeSantis.
He's the 46th governor of Florida, a member of the Republican Party. He's represented Florida's 6th congressional district of the U.S. House of Representatives from 2013 to 2018. The publicly released records of his service in the Navy came redacted, with the Navy citing a personal privacy exception to the Freedom of Information Act.
Nice.
An inmate who is held at Guantanamo Bay alleged in 2022 that DeSantis oversaw force-feeding detainees, and DeSantis acknowledged that he advised the commander of the base about the use of force-feeding.
Yeah, so he's a piece of shit. There's a lot of people that cooperate. Yeah, popcorn boy. Cooperate. DeSantis, his job was to be a lawyer, essentially, for torturers. So his job, in theory, was to protect the prisoners' legal rights, which essentially led to protecting the torturers' rights, to figure out to what extent they legally could torture. And there's a lot of inmates, prisoners, potentially terrorists that in theory could be lying, but there's a lot of other soldiers and people that have verified this is what he did. He was a lawyer for the military. That was his shit. So he's a little angry elf man. His legs are very short, so he wears an extra set of shoes inside his cowboy boots to look a little bit bigger, and likes to grind his teeth a lot.
Yeah.
He's not a very nice man.
He's not a very, doesn't seem like it'd be fun to hang around.
No. Throughout this debate, dude, how he grinds his teeth says everything, dude. He is so angry, man. He's just, it's like he's trying to figure out how to look human, and he's just slowly grinding his teeth into mush. It's adorable.
He should explain why he didn't drain the swamp. And he said Republicans were going to get tired of winning. Well, we saw last night, I'm sick of Republicans losing. In Florida,
Me too, Ron.
how it's done.
Yeah.
1 year ago here.
Put a little Parmesan on them meatballs.
You get step your shit up, you know, you won't be losing so much.
So I promise you this, as the nominee, next November I'll get the job done, and as president, I will deliver.
Your time is up. Let me turn
Shut the fuck up, Ron. Ron,
Yep.
you're over time.
Sucks to suck, Ron.
Back to your high chair, Ron.
I think you look at the fact that we're almost $34 trillion.
Oh, we got
in
war
debt.
bitch Nikki
60%
Haley.
of Americans are living paycheck to paycheck. 50% of American families can't afford diapers.
Let's see her
1
fake
in
empathy
6
for a
American
moment.
families can't pay their utility bills. You have parents who are worried about what's being said or taught to their child in the classroom. There's no transparency.
Not a single note. They don't have parent-teacher conferences. They don't send out, the itineraries and shit. I mean, they send them home, but we can't be expected to read that shit.
Everybody wants to talk about President Trump. Well, I can talk about President Trump. I can tell you that
Talk
I think
about
he was
him,
the
Haley.
right president at the right time. I don't think he's the right president now. I think that he put us $8 trillion in debt, and our kids are never going to
He
forgive us
sure
for that.
did.
I think the
And
fact
you
that he
supported
used
him.
to be right on Ukraine and foreign issues, now he's getting weak in the knees and trying to be friendly again.
Can you imagine
I
what
think that
Trump's
we've gotta
knees
go
look
back to
like?
the fact that we can't live in the past.
I don't
We
want
can't
to.
live
That'd be an
under
abomination.
headlines. We've got to start focusing on what's
If we could
gonna make
abort
America
Trump's knees,
strong.
we'd be in better shape.
It'd be a
Let's
better
make sure
country.
We pay
Yeah.
down our debt. I think we need an accountant in the White House. Let's make sure that we have transparency in the
God, her
classroom. As a
poor
mom,
children.
I know what that means. Let's make sure we secure
Yeah,
our
it's,
borders so that our families are
it's hard to
safe.
imagine a
Let's
human
get
being
crime
coming
down
out of
because
her.
our families want to know that they can be safe no matter where
Imagine
they
you go home to visit your family for the holidays, and you gotta sit in her house.
And we need to make sure that America is
Yes, sir. Thank you very much.
So I don't know what she's blathering on about, but she's here and she wants war. Let me tell you, she's bloodthirsty, Nikki.
Let's not go down this road. We've asked you to please, keep restraining yourselves, and it would be helpful. So we can
The
get to
egghead's
candidates
telling the
because
audience
these
to
are
shut the
important
fuck up
issues,
again.
And the voters want and need to hear them.
This is a train
Mr. Ramaswamy, let me turn to you. Please make your case. Why would you?
I hate this
why
little
should you
weasel.
be the
He
nominee?
sucks
This
so
little
bad.
fucking
I
weasel
think there's
piece
something
of
deeper
shit.
going on in the Republican Party here, and I am upset about what happened last night. We've become a party of losers at the end of the day. It was a cancer in the Republican establishment.
Anti-establishment,
Let's speak the
Vivek.
truth. I mean, since Ron Paul took over
Yeah.
as chairwoman of the RNC in 2017, we have lost.
This guy's about to try to sell us Dogecoin for sure.
2022, no red wave that ever came. We got trounced last night in 2023. And I think that we have to have accountability in our party.
He's a good
For that
speaker,
matter,
though.
Ron, if you want to come on stage tonight, you want to look the GOP voters in the eye and tell them you resign, I will
He's
turn over
calling out
my
Ron
time
DeSantis
to you.
immediately.
And frankly, look, the people there cheering for losing in the Republican Party. Think about who's moderating this debate. This should be Tucker Carlson, Joe Rogan, and Elon Musk. We'd
At
have
the
10 times
NBC debate,
viewership,
yep.
Asking questions that GOP primary voters actually care about. And bringing more
If you're
people to
saying
our
that
party.
your candidates don't have enough shit to bring in, voters and viewers, so we need fucking Joe Rogan up here.
Unfortunately, Joe Rogan would do it moderately poorly. Tucker would be biased as shit, and Elon Musk is, god damn it.
The point is, if you need celebrities to hype up your government debate,
Yeah.
there's something wrong with the candidates that you're presenting.
I'm running a populist campaign.
Yeah.
I really need to be popular.
Can you get me a blue check mark for free?
And so the fact of the matter is, Chris, I'm going to use this time because this is actually about you in the media and the corrupt media establishment. Ask you, the Trump-Russia collusion hoax that you pushed on this network for years, was that real or was that Hillary Clinton made up disinformation? Answer the question. Go.
Mr. Roberts.
This is how we get our country back. We need accountability, because this media rigged the 2016 election. They rigged the 2020 election with the Hunter Biden laptop story. And they're going to rig this election.
They rigged it. So we got conspiracies in the opening statements by this little fucking weasel.
Audience, let's not do this. Let's not do this. Let's let the candidate speak.
Little weasel boy. Let's see what Vivek Ramaswamy. I'm destroying his name. Vivek. Let's see what this piece of shit is all about, okay?
Yeah.
So he wants Tucker Carlson there. He's alleging conspiracies. He's a populist candidate who wants to deconstruct the federal government. He was born on August 9th, 1985. He's an American entrepreneur, the spirit and soul of this nation, and he now is a presidential candidate. He founded Reenact Sciences, a pharmaceutical company, which is pretty funny considering how much Republicans love to pretend to hate pharmaceutical companies.
Yeah.
He founded this company in 2014. In February 2023, Ramaswamy declared his candidacy for the Republican Party nomination in the 2024 United States presidential election. He's big on TikTok. He's friends with Jake Paul. Real cool dude.
Oh, yeah. Kick-ass.
I went to the same high school as him, actually. He was born in Cincinnati to Indian immigrant parents. Graduated from Harvard College with a bachelor's degree in biology and later earned a law degree from Yale. Ramaswamy, god damn, I don't want to make fun of his name, but I'm just going to mispronounce. Ramaswamy worked as an investment partner.
You fucked it up again.
It's going to be bad all night. Vivek, I'll do Vivek.
Yeah.
Vivek worked as an investment partner at a hedge fund before his pharmaceutical company. He claims the United States is in the middle of a national identity crisis, precipitated by what he calls, quote, new secular religions like COVIDism, climatism, and gender ideology.
Oh, Jesus.
He is also a critic of environmental, social, and corporate governance initiatives. In 2023, Forbes estimated Vivek's net worth to be more than $950 million. His wealth comes from the biotech and financial business. So, piece of shit.
Yeah.
Little weasel science man.
Like grade A piece of trash. And usually on this show we like trash, but
not this type of trash.
It's bad trash.
He's rich trash. Now, the thing is, Trump, he destroyed the Republican Party, and he opened up the door for this new wave of candidates like Vivek, who have gone even more extreme than Trump would have initially dared. This guy literally calls for the destruction of like 15 federal agencies, like the FDA. He wants the FDA gone. He wants all this shit gone. He wants federal government minimalized. He wants tax breaks for the richest. He's anti any social issue you can think of. Everyone on this stage is anti-abortion and pro-God. They're all slime people. And Vivek's the most weaselly, greasiest of them all. Fuck this dude. And he spoils our home state.
Fuck you, Vivek.
Absolutely. Fuck this dude.
Audience, let's not do this. Let's not do this. Let's let the candidate speak.
The monitor's pissed 4 minutes in.
President Trump?
Yeah.
Well, Lester, look, you said it.
Now we have the man who ate Chris Christie.
We are dealing with
Fucking Cookie Monster over here.
important issues facing this country right now. We have our greatest ally in the Middle East under fire from
the only sane man on stage, I might add.
Actually, he looks like he's lost a lot of weight.
And every Jewish person.
You look at him like a year and a half, 2 years ago.
Ukraine, with Vladimir Putin, a communist KGB dictator.
Damn, Chris.
He wants to put the old band back together. He's starting in Ukraine, and he's going to move to the Baltics and Poland after that.
True.
We have inflation
Fuck
in this country
Russia.
that is
choking every American family that wants to try
The entire country is
and give their children a
Fuck
better
the
life.
whole frozen ass nation of Russia.
Tonight, we need to decide.
fucking borscht and potato bullshit.
Absolutely. The only reason Chris Christie is here is just to remind us what a piece of shit Trump is. And I actually appreciate that.
Yeah. The only one who like openly speaks out about how shitty Trump is.
In the fourth debate, he did not speak about almost anything else except how much Trump would be a threat to the country the entire time. It was actually commendable.
I'd say America is the country, the indispensable nation that makes this a safer world. And in a safer world, American innovation, American hard work has always been the thing that has driven our country to greater things. I'm going to be the president who will do those big things. We're not going to be small, and I'll say this about Donald Trump.
Here we go.
Anybody who's going to be spending the next year and a half of their life focusing on keeping themselves out of jail and courtrooms cannot lead this party or this country.
Right,
and it needs to be said plainly.
Space, Christie. Christie.
Like woos in the crowd. There's nobody cared to give a fuck about that.
Certainly. No. What I would say without any question is that the truth of my life.
Yeah, so Chris has some of the lowest support right now. His whole objective is to prevent Donald Trump from obtaining a second term as president. He was a close ally of Trump during Trump's early presidency, but later emerged as a harsh critic following Trump's refusal to accept his loss in the 2020 United States presidential election. And following January 6th, Chris Christie has just been on a single track mission to prevent Trump from getting the candidacy because he knows how serious and how high the stakes are. As much as I dislike people like Chris Christie and Mike Pence, these people are old school Republicans that are, as disgusting as they are in their own way, they're reasonable and somewhat respectable people. Like, they might believe a lot of dumb ass shit, but they don't want a dictator, and they are going to uphold their vow to the country to some extent. And compared to everything else going on in the Republican Party today, this makes them fucking saints. So Chris Christie has my blessing to be there. And as bad...
but only by comparison.
Only by comparison. In what should be a normal world, he should be my enemy, but the enemy of my enemy is my friend. And in this situation, Chris Christie is my best friend. Now...
We'll get him on the show after he inevitably loses the nomination for the GOP.
Yeah, the Republican Party hates Chris Christie now.
Yeah,
he is destroyed. He's not trying to win. He's just a spoiler. Now, next up, we have my favorite candidate today, Timothy Eugene Scott. Tim never saw a cow he didn't stare at, Scott. Now, this man, with his fake-ass southern drawl, he doesn't even know where he's at right now. They just found him confused in a cornfield, threw him on stage, and he just thinks he's talking to his best friend, the cow. This man is lost, stupid, and slow. We'll resume. 3, 2.
The truth of my life destroys the lies of the radical left. We need a president and a candidate who will actually help our base solidify and attract independent voters into our party.
He's trying so hard to keep that fake accent together.
African-American voters and Hispanic voters, because we are working on a foundation based on faith. Our nation is facing some deep
This is
challenges.
why I hate him.
It is the loss of faith in this nation that is a part of the erosion that we're seeing every single day. It's restoring faith, restoring our Christian values.
Every time this dumbass says faith, I'm going to gash my wrists in. Fuck this dude.
This is on you, Tim Scott.
He's going to make me bleed out like an hour in. Holy shit. He says faith, God, or some other dumbass religious shit probably 100 times.
It's the shit that makes me so fucking mad about politics.
It's disgusting. How are they even allowed to do it?
Yeah.
This dude praised the
craziest
cows.
shit.
Oh my god, fuck this dude.
Like, you might as well go up there in a fucking pastor costume with the little white neckband thing.
I'm so pure. Please
put on the
vote
Pope
for
hat.
me. Please vote for me, Christians.
If you're gonna push fucking religious agenda in an attempt to gain votes, you should have to put on the full costume of the Pope.
Live like a Christian, die like a Christian. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
In oil and fire. That do a lot.
Crucified and burned at the stake.
Restoring our Christian values that will help this nation once again.
My dude ate a frog 30 minutes before the debate.
Talked about the city on the hill.
Can't get it out.
He was coming from Matthew 5. When President Lincoln talked about a house divided, that was Mark.
Talking about the fucking Bible.
Yep.
Speak to the importance of a faith foundation. You don't have to be a Christian for America to work for you, but America does not work without a faith-filled Judeo-Christian foundation. I would be the
fucking piece of shit.
Garbage shit.
I'm going to ignore the Constitution.
In our future. Without that focus, none of the issues, the policies, matter.
Oh.
We have to get back to being a nation that is, in fact, the city on the hill that
Shit
believes
hill.
in each other enough for us to fight.
Ladies and gentlemen, Tim never saw a cow he didn't lick. Scott, this man with the fake Southern drawl, but he has the real Southern smooth brain. Tim Scott, ladies and gentlemen.
The next commander-in-chief, you'll all be fielding questions first from me and the Republican Jewish Coalition.
It really does. It makes my blood boil.
Yeah, dude, that's what I was like, we have to watch this. Just every time he talks, imagine him looking at a cow, just talking to a cow in a cornfield. That's how fucking lost this.
We're only 12 minutes in.
I know, dude. I'm eating pop. I'm raged up. Down.
Honestly, this popcorn's keeping me calm. It's keeping me happy.
Dude, good Colonel will do that. Ain't much a good Colonel can't do.
All right, I'm going to start calling popcorn Colonel from now on. That's just been decided.
As President of the United States, what would you be urging Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu to do at this moment? Governor DeSantis.
Fucking egghead's talking again.
He does. He has the most egg-shaped head I think I've ever seen in real life.
Like one of those chocolate Easter eggs.
One of those little Kinder eggs. What you got inside that Kinder egg, ma'am?
Only one way to find out.
I would be telling Bibi, finish the job once and for all with these butchers, Hamas. They're terrorists. They're massacring innocent people. They would wipe every Jew off the globe if they could. He cannot live.
I don't like when DeSantis talks about Jews. Even when he's defending them, it feels.
And they should unconditionally surrender. I'm sick of hearing other people.
It's that thing where
just for defending itself.
It's the formula's all there for bad shit to be coming.
Yeah,
in public and in private. And I can tell you, as governor, I actually did something about it. Biden's neglect has been atrocious.
DeSantis gets so adamant about how much he has to protect the Jews. Mm-hmm. He's just been doing this for the press. And as he's saying, oh, we have to defend the Jewish people with so much, he's calling for war to kill as many other people as possible. He's like, we have to protect the Jews. Bomb Palestine now.
Yeah.
Like, dude, what? I don't understand this. Like, there's a difference between being anti-Semitic and being anti-Zionist.
Mm-hmm.
Israel is, for better or worse, an ethno-state to some extent. They're currently killing a lot of people in Palestine, a country they've been ruling over for 50 years. Palestine is also very bad. Israel, not great.
Yeah.
Jews, good. Israel, bad.
Perfect. Nailed it. Got it in one.
Send it out.
We had Floridians that were over there after the
Floridians.
attack. He left them stranded.
Sounds like a drug that'll
They
kill
couldn't
you.
get flights out. So I scrambled resources in Florida. I
Every
sent planes over to
single
Israel, and I brought back
point
over
DeSantis
700
makes
people
in every
to safety.
single debate, it's just stories. He never has facts. He never has any true information. He just has a yarn he tells.
6-year-old daughter, and she said,
Listen to this.
my daughter had been saying the last 2 nights, Mommy, I don't want to hear any more bombs, no more rockets. I just want to get back to Florida. So there's a difference between words and deeds. We acted.
What a piece of shit. He's such a liar.
Oh my god.
I just want to go back to Florida.
Oh my god.
Can you imagine a child's? Oh my, he's such a little liar.
Thank you. Ambassador Haley, what would you do? What would you be urging Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu to do? Would you consider a humanitarian pause, for example?
The first thing I said to him when it happened was I said, finish them. Finish them.
Holy shit.
Like Mortal Kombat.
The first thing I said was slit their throats in the sand.
That's what the fuck she said.
Yes.
And the reason is I worked on this every day when I was at the United Nations. And we have to remember that they have to, 1, eliminate Hamas, 2, support Israel with whatever they need whenever they need it, and 3, make sure
We love
bring
Israel
our
so much we'll
hostages home.
kill every
We need to
other
be very
Arab.
clear on, there would be no Hamas without Iran. There would be no Hezbollah without Iran. There would not be the Houthis without Iran. And there wouldn't be the Iranian militias in Syria and Iraq that are trying to hit our military men and women if it hadn't
You know,
been
I
for
believe
Iran.
she'd do it
And who
too.
is funding Iran
Probably.
right now?
She'd slit a
China
baby's
is
neck for a
buying
cookie, I
oil from
bet.
Iran. Russia is
If Trump
getting drones and
made the
missiles from
order.
Iran, and there
Yeah.
is an unholy alliance. We need to be clear-eyed. The last thing we need to do.
She looks like
is
she
to
needs a
tell
cookie.
Israel what to do.
Just to cheer her up, you know?
Yeah.
She looks hangry.
She probably, hey, you know what? Give Nikki Haley some cheesecake. Somebody around here has the contact. Give Nikki Haley some cheesecake.
Cheesecake could have changed this whole debate around.
Next debate, before the debate, just give everyone some cheesecake.
See how it goes.
We just heard on this issue, on what you would tell the Prime Minister?
Not in terms of what I would tell the Prime Minister, no. In fact, I would go one step further. The founding vision of Israel was based on the idea that they don't want to depend on anybody else's sympathy or direction in defending themselves. So what I would tell Bibi is that Israel has the right and the responsibility to defend itself. I would tell him to smoke those terrorists on his southern border.
Fuck it, or roll them up and smoke them.
Fucking little Oompa Loompa, all greased up on Ritalin.
And then I'll tell him as President of the United States, I'll be smoking the terrorists on our southern
He'll
border.
be smoking
That's
the
his
terrorists, bro.
responsibility. That's our responsibility. That's how we move
Holy
forward. But I
shit,
wanna
he'll be
careful
smoking on
to
the
avoid
terrorist
making the
backs, bro.
mistakes from the neocon establishment of the past. Corrupt politicians in both parties spent trillions, killed millions, made billions for themselves
Nice.
in places like Iraq.
I love when they're
and
wrong.
Afghanistan. Wars that sent thousands of our sons and daughters, people my age, to die in wars that did not advance anyone's interests, adding $7 trillion to our national debt. And Joe Biden still
Vivek would have gotten it done.
Yeah, he would have smoked them terrorists. Throughout the debate, they keep having to up how much violence they would do to terrorists. It gets pretty absurd.
You have the likes of Nikki Haley, who
I hate
stepped down from her
terrorists
time
more.
at the UN.
I
Bankrupt
hate
or in
them the
debt was
most.
her family. Then she becomes a military contractor. She joins the board of Boeing and otherwise, and is now a multimillionaire. So I think that that's wrong when Republicans do it or Democrats do it. That's the choice we face. Do you want a leader from a different generation who's going to put this
Slamming
country
Haley
first?
over here.
Or do you want Dick Cheney in 3-inch heels?
Ooh.
In which case, we've got 2 of them on stage tonight.
Thank you. Senator Scott.
Yes.
Senator,
Nice,
same question to you.
bro.
You're the president. You're on the phone in the Oval Office with the Prime Minister. You tell him what?
Well, number one, I would tell Prime Minister Netanyahu, not only do you have the responsibility
Where'd my favorite cow
to
go?
wipe Hamas off
You have
of the
no place
map.
to speak on this
We will
pronunciation.
support you. We will be there with you. We'll stand shoulder to shoulder. There will be no daylight. But I would
Well, I
change
sat on a
the
piece of
station a
corn.
little bit, though. Head back home to America. I would say to President Biden, diplomacy only is a weak strategy. Appeasement leads to war. From President Obama to President Biden, Obama sent millions to Iran. Frankly,
yeah, this is a strong man we all need, Tim Scott.
That is why I've said that there's blood dripping from the hands of President Obama and President Biden.
Big ball Biden over
If you want to stop the 40-plus attacks on military personnel in the Middle East, you have to strike in Iran. If you want to make a difference, you cannot just continue to have strikes in Syria on warehouses. You actually have to cut off the head of the snake, and the head of the snake is Iran and not simply their proxies. In order for us to have a powerful response from America, we have to be in a position of strength. As President of the United States, my foreign policy is simple. You cannot negotiate with evil. You have to destroy it.
What? What a cool guy.
We're past politics. We're on to good and evil.
Yeah, really. He's what a stance to be able to make that says, well, I'm as president of the United States, I would have the authority to decide what's good and what's evil.
Yeah.
Lester, these problems are so big and serious that the first thing I would say to Prime Minister Netanyahu is pretty simple. America is here, no matter what it is you need at any time to preserve the state of Israel. Remember that Hamas's main goal is to get rid of Israel, is to get Israel absolutely off the map. Now, there are three things
Chris Christie, you can tell right about now, his blood sugar's getting a little low.
Yeah.
And he's looking over at Meatball Ron, thinking about all that sauce in his boots.
Yeah.
Just licking his lips, trying to babble through a sentence.
If I can just act like I dropped a pencil over there, maybe I can lick some of the sauce off of those boots.
I can sneak a bite of my hoagie that I put in my socks.
Second, you must go in and make sure that Hamas can never do this again.
Chris Christie, get rid of the hoagie, get you a cheesecake.
The intelligence community failed. They failed here, and they failed the people of the state of Israel. And so we need to work closely and better together to make sure.
I fucking love the Jews most.
We know everything that's going on.
I'm gonna kill so many people for Israel.
Something like this can't
I fucking love
to kill
Israel
1,400 individuals
more
again.
than
And the third
anyone
thing
else.
is to keep your eye on the ball.
Oh, he's spreading out. He's saying he's going to kill people in China, too.
Iran. Work with the reasonable nations in the Middle East, the other Arab nations who want to partner with you, and make sure that we continue to isolate Iran so that their only friends in the world are the part of the evil foursome.
Bro, they're at the primary debates and they're like starting wars with foreign countries.
Question from Matthew Brooks,
not even enough.
CEO of the Republican Jewish Coalition, a partner of the Republican National Committee in this debate.
Oh, fuck.
Given attacks by Iranian-backed proxy groups on U.S. military bases
Who the fuck is this
in Syria
slug?
and Iraq, attacks that have wounded approximately 24 of our U.S. servicemen.
Whoa.
Do you support the use of military force by the United States against Iran?
Oh, shit.
Governor Haley, would you please answer that?
Yes, I'd first like to say they're 5-inch heels, and I don't wear them unless you can run in them.
This bitch is fierce.
We've got two of you on stage.
The second thing that I will say is I wear heels. They're not for a fashion statement. They're for ammunition. What we need to be doing for Iraq and Syria is, first of all, the idea that our men and women could be targeted and that we've allowed almost 100 hits to happen under Biden's watch is unthinkable. We need to understand this is Iran giving the green light, telling them what to do, and we shouldn't be doing the tit for tat like what Joe Biden has done. We need to go and take out their infrastructure that they are using to make those strikes with so they can never do it again. Iran responds to strength. You punch them one and you punch them hard.
She used to be in the UN.
Biden falling all over himself to get back in the Iran deal. Him giving $6 billion to get 5 hostages home. Him telling Netanyahu now that he needs a pause or a ceasefire. We don't need him going and sitting there tiptoeing around Iran because he thinks they're going to do something. You don't respond to an enemy and a terrorist with fear. You respond with strength. When you do that, that's when the world pays attention, and that's when Iran stops.
Thank you. Governor DeSantis, if I can continue with you. Just today, the U.S. launched another one of its limited airstrikes against targets in Syria, this time Iranian-linked facility. How far would you go militarily to hold Iran accountable?
Pause 2204. We never gave Nikki. Oh, fuck. We never gave Nikki Fierce Bitch Haley her intro.
Oh, yeah, true.
Born on January 20th.
We wouldn't want to be accused of being Sexist.
She makes me want to be sexist. I hate her. Born on January 20th, 1972, Nikki Haley is an American politician and diplomat. You can tell by how diplomatic she's being on stage. Who served as governor of South Carolina from 2011 to 2017, and as the 29th United States ambassador to the United Nations for 2 years. She's a member of the Republican Party. Duh, Wikipedia. Cat's eating my popcorn.
Well, first, Matt, thanks for your question, and I appreciate what you've done over the last month. I know it's been very difficult for the community, and appreciate you guys rallying together in difficult times. I actually served in Iraq back in the day, and
shut the fuck up, Ron.
In Iraq.
Answer the fucking
Shia
question,
militias that
you
were funded by Iran, that were killing hundreds and hundreds of U.S. troops. And as commander-in-chief, I am not going to put our troops in harm's way unless you're willing to defend them with everything you have. Biden has them out there. They're sitting ducks. He's doing glancing blows. That's just inviting more attacks from the Iranians.
God, they hate the Iranians.
You harm a hair on the head of an American service member, and you are going to have hell to pay.
Damn, hell to
sit
pay.
there and let our service members be sitting ducks, and that's true whether it's Iran or whether it's any country on the world. We have to be strong, and we have to defend the people who defend us.
All right, thank you, Governor. Now our
nice, dude. Promising hellfire.
Matthew Brooks of the Republican Jewish Coalition. Please watch.
Jewish students across the country are threatened and under attack. What do you say to Jewish students on college campuses who feel unsafe given the dramatic rise in anti-Semitism? And what do you say to university presidents and college presidents who have not met the moral clarity moment to forcefully condemn Hamas terrorism?
Mr. Ramaswamy,
you know how
would you
easy
like to
it
take
is?
that one?
Absolutely. I think the scourge of anti-Semitism...
23:47. Let me finish my popcorn for this.
Yeah. You got important thoughts to get out there.
You know how easy it is to condemn terrorism?
Yeah.
All you have to do is say, it's bad. You don't have to say, and we're going to kill them. You can keep that as the quiet part, that you just believe in your heart.
Yeah.
But you don't have to...
Don't worry. We can all read through the lines. We know you want to kill those Iranians. It's okay.
Those terrorists will have hell to pay.
It's not a good selling point for sure.
No.
You're not helping your cause.
Every single person on stage, I think, except... No, Christie has. I think they've all advocated for violence already, huh?
Yeah.
Isn't that silly?
It's a little silly.
These jokers.
Mr. Ramaswamy, would you like to take that one?
Absolutely. I think the scourge of anti-Semitism across this country, including at places like my alma maters and places like Brooklyn Bridge in New York.
My dude went to school at a bridge. Just in the slime underneath the Brooklyn Bridge.
Hey man, that's the school of hard knocks right there.
And we are lost. Several years ago when I wrote my first book, Woke Inc., I was talking about they were chanting death to America.
Oh, boy.
Death to white people, death to Christians. Nobody was waking up back then. Now it's even bad. Now they're saying death to Israel and worse. So it is wrong, but we have to
Fuck, this dude makes me want to kill white people.
Now, I think it's really important that we do this through leadership, not censorship. Leadership means fill that void with purpose and meaning. Dilute this wokeism and anti-Semitism to irrelevance. These kids, they have no idea what the heck they're even talking about when they're siding with Hamas over Israel. They are fools.
That is true. In a way.
But I also want to caution here, if we go the direction of Ron DeSantis or Nikki Haley, with whom I respectfully disagree on this issue, pro-censorship, telling student groups to disband, mark my words, soon they will say if you question a vaccine and its side effects, you're a bioterrorist. Soon they will say that if you show up at a school board meeting, you're a domestic terrorist. Soon if they say that J6 prisoners should be released, you're an insurrectionist terrorist. So that's where this road ends. We don't quash this with censorship because that creates a...
We should have just executed all the J6 people.
These university administrators have lost...
Bro, I don't care if you were a grandma thinking you're on a tour. Get executed. Get fucked.
Yeah, you're obviously not smart enough to know what the fuck's going on around you.
Oh, I'm so stupid. I broke into a Capitol. Die in the DC Memorial.
This isn't where Google Maps were supposed to take me.
Every single university president in America federal funding is a privilege, not a right. Number one. Number two, to every student who've come to our country on a visa to a college campus, your visa is a privilege, not a right. Number three.
Yeah, tell them to get the fuck out of the country, would you, Tim Scott? That'd be great.
To allow students to encourage terrorism, mass murder, and genocide.
Mass murder.
You should lose your federal funding today. Period.
Yeah, defund the colleges. That'll teach them about freedom of speech.
Yeah, go crack down on students.
Yeah.
I would deport you from those campuses.
Deport them!
We have to stand strong with our Jewish Americans. At the end of the day, we should not have our Jewish students in a library being told to hide. On our streets in New York, a Jewish citizen has the right to walk on the streets of America with no fear. They have the right to go to college campuses, go to class, and not fear. We will restore that. I started working on anti-Semitism on college campuses in 2017 because even then there was a rise of anti-Semitism on college campuses.
You know, none of these people give a fuck about them.
They do not give a fuck at all.
Those campuses, and
Senator
frankly,
Scott, thank you. Let me
out of our country.
Let me turn to the Governor DeSantis here. What do you think about what he just said?
I was the first presidential candidate to say, if you are here on a student visa as a foreign national, you're making common cause with Hamas, I'm canceling your visa and I'm sending you home. No questions asked.
Here's something I'm curious. I haven't seen anyone that's like protesting for Hamas. I've seen like Free Palestine shit, obviously.
Why do you give that a Pazaroni?
Yeah, I haven't seen, because there's actually been a couple of them like right at the downtown Royal Oak around here that were like, Free Palestine, ceasefire shit.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't seen anything that was just like, yeah, we support the terrorism.
I definitely haven't either. It's not very common, but I'm sure you've seen the videos of it happening, though.
Yeah, for sure.
There are people in crowds yelling to gas all the Jews.
Yeah, and they have been for years, before this war, even too. There's the fucking neo-Nazis
every
shit
week
out here doing
in America. Someone's yelling to kill the Jews, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Someone's trying to kill another
Got a little popcorn
ethnic
in your
group.
mouth?
Yeah, I'm intentionally. I'm entertained right now. This is the. It's keeping me cool.
Here's the thing. Judaism is a bad religion.
Mm-hmm.
Very bad religion. The Jewish faith is bad. Fuck Judaism. But Jews are good people, and we shouldn't just genocide them half the world thinks we should just genocide Jewish people. So it's these older politicians, it's kind of been their job to be the vanguard for Israel. That's been a Republican thing, a bit stronger than Democrats. So all these people on stage are to stand with their base, they have to be the most adamant about how much violence they'll do to protect Israel.
Yeah,
Meanwhile,
pull in enough shit from the old school. Keep the old money happy.
Yeah. And meanwhile, Israel's just killing the fuck out of
They're
Palestine.
fucking destroying people over there.
Even if you were on Israel's side, they've gone too far.
Yeah, they're not. It's not that they're winning the war. It's they're committing genocide.
Yeah.
It's not the same thing.
No. It's pretty ugly stuff.
Yeah.
But all these Republicans on stage sure love it.
Yep. Eating that shit right up.
You have Jewish students fleeing for their lives at Cooper Union. Joe Biden should have the Department of Justice on these college campuses and holding the universities accountable for civil rights violations. When you should not have money going to these places. I already acted in Florida. We had a group, Students for Justice of Palestine. They said they are common cause with Hamas. They said, we're not just in solidarity, this is what we are. We deactivated them. We're not going to use state tax dollars to fund jihad. No way. And what is Biden doing? Not only is he not helping the Jewish students who are being persecuted, He is launching an initiative to combat so-called Islamophobia. No, it's the anti-Semitism that's spiraling.
Oh, God. Fuck both of these religions.
Yeah, but they're both bad.
I can tell you this. We are not going to stand for this on college campuses any longer.
The anti-Semitism's bad, so let me spew more anti-Islamic shit real quick.
Population. Last month, as you know, a 6-year-old Palestinian-American boy.
Christie's blood sugar's looking low.
His landlord, his mother was also stabbed more than
It's getting a little
Somebody
wobbly.
get my man some orange juice.
What do you say?
Nobody got an insulin shot for my boy.
How fucking baller would it be if mid debate on the stage he just pulls out an insulin shot and a fucking syringe and just injects it in his arm? I don't know. I don't think they really do it in the arm. I think they do it in like their side or something. But still.
Yeah. Oh man, that'd be based as fuck though.
How fucking cool would that be? Someone just pulls out a needle and just shoots himself up real quick. Like, doesn't acknowledge it at all. Just...
I tell you what, he'd have every diabetic vote in the country.
That's how you get support.
That could turn the tides.
Hey, that's a lot of Americans, Stephen.
It's a lot of meatballs, Ron.
Sir, I'm the only one on the stage who's actually had experience in dealing with this. I was appointed by President Bush to be the U.S. Attorney in New Jersey on September 10th. 2001.
Oh my God, shut the fuck up about 9/11.
9/11.
They're such babies. Oh, 3,000 people died. Shut the fuck up. Our tall buildings aren't tall anymore.
22 years ago.
About
Jesus. Like, how many people have we killed since? Like, it was bad. Shut the fuck up.
In the aftermath of 9/11. We made sure that we sent federal agents to those synagogues and we protected
and we
them
put undercover agents in every synagogue, every mosque
to mosque in New Jersey, and met with the leaders of those mosques and with the members of the mosques. And I said to them, law enforcement is on your side to protect you, regardless of your religion, if you are going to comply with the law. And we developed fabulous relationships with Muslim Americans all across the state of New Jersey, and we stopped any hate crimes.
He put on his Batman suit and stopped the hate crimes.
Or Muslim Americans in New Jersey. It takes leadership, Lester, to know how to do this. You must work with both sides. Both sides need to know it, but let us never have a false moral equivalence between Hamas and Hezbollah and the Jewish people. The Jewish people stand for right and justice, and Hamas and Hezbollah stand for death.
Governor Christie, thank you. Ambassador Haley, what do you say to Americans who are simply afraid right now?
Good job, buddy. You made it through.
I think, you look at the country, and the country is all out of sorts. I think, look at what these kids are dealing with on college campuses.
Now she has to trump all of their violence.
Not only do you have the kids barricaded,
I'm waiting to hear the word
library,
glass.
They said they were going to shoot up the kosher dining hall.
I think one of them gets it by the end of
being
it.
set on fire because they have something related to Israel on their doors. No person should ever feel in danger like this. And this is what I would say about our college presidents, is if the KKK were doing
Just
this,
fear-mongering,
every college president would be up in arms. This is no different. You should treat it exactly the same. Anti-Semitism is just as awful as racism, and we've got to make sure they're protected. And for everybody that's protesting on these college campuses in favor of Hamas, let me remind you something. Hamas said death to Israel and death to America. They hate and would kill you too. And the idea that they're talking about genocide for the Jewish people, that's not the values of America. That's not us. We're better
We don't
than
kill the
that.
Jewish people. We kill everyone else in the Middle East.
We don't need to celebrate violence towards anybody. We need to go back and soul search in our country and remember what we are about. And we are about taking care of people, not going and making them live in fear because some other terrorist activity.
How can you say we don't need to celebrate terrorists while talking about killing people?
We
don't need to celebrate the terrorists. We are the terrorists.
Start with you.
The United States has given Ukraine financial and military support since the war began more than 600 days ago. President Zelensky told me on Sunday if Russia isn't stopped now, quote, the price will be higher for the United States, and Americans would be forced to, quote, send your sons and daughters to defend NATO countries. Senator Scott, where do you stand on more funding for Ukraine?
I certainly have been very supportive of Ukraine. I believe that ultimately we should make sure that the President of the United States states what is America's national vital interest in Ukraine. It is actually in degrading the Russian military. We've been very effective using our resources and our weaponry and the incredibly high price of Ukrainian blood to achieve that objective. Every day we get closer to the degradation of the Russian military, and that's good news. But the American people are frustrated that they do not have a president who reminds us and tells us, where's the accountability? Where are those dollars? How are those dollars being spent? We need those answers for us to continue to see the support for Ukraine. And at the same time, I would say that a package that's been offered by the president for Ukraine and Israel, that's the wrong approach. We need to focus specifically on providing Israel with the $14 billion that they need.
Dude, it's great. Like, it's gotta suck for Ukraine, because, like, America does not care about Ukraine. They've just been a pawn in this, like, Cold War stand.
Yeah, exactly. Turn away from that direct support for Israel, we should go to our southern border and close our southern border with the resources necessary. I believe that we have sleeper terrorist cells in America. Thousands of people have come from Yemen, Iran, Syria, and Iraq. If we are going to deal with the national security emergency at our border, we have to do it now.
Senator Scott, thank you. But just to be very clear, if you were president, if you were in the Oval Office today, would you sign off on more military funding for Ukraine, or would you discontinue
on my cows?
Bottom line is we have to first have the level of accountability.
Broke my fence, and I'm gonna have to mend it. It'll be very expensive.
I saw a hole in my chicken coop the other day, and I knew it was a terrorist. I knew they had sleeper agents over here.
Overall strategy that helps us degrade the Russian military while we use our resources, and frankly, keeping our NATO partners safe from the Russian military is absolutely essential. As you understand, Article 5.
He hasn't talked about God for a while, so he's getting shaky.
He's getting the shakes, man.
That possibility is for us to
call him the cow quivers.
He's getting sick, Stephen. Give him his medicine.
The cow quivers.
Keeping our military home, and that's good news.
Thank you, Senator Scott. Mr. Ramaswamy, are you persuaded by President Zelensky's urgent new plea? Where do you stand on more funding?
I'm absolutely unpersuaded. And I'm actually enjoying watching the Ukraine hawks quietly, delicately tiptoe back from their position as this thing has unwound into a disaster. The first half of this race, I was the only person standing for it. Now they're actually quietly coming around to being more cautious, as they should. Level with the American people here.
This weasel doesn't fall for tricks.
A paragon of democracy. This is a country that has banned 11 opposition parties. It has consolidated all media into one state TV media arm. That's not democratic. It has threatened not to hold elections this year unless the U.S. forks over more money. That is not democratic. It has celebrated a Nazi in its ranks, the comedian in cargo pants, a man called Zelensky, doing it in their own ranks. That is not democratic.
He's a snake oil salesman.
He absolutely is. I was joking about someone like injecting themselves in the arm mid debate, but I want to go back frame by frame and see if we can get one of him like getting a little snortsky going.
He looks like he eats his spaghetti one strand at a time and dips it in oil. Like he looks like he takes a piece of spaghetti, dips it in olive oil.
Dips it in the sauce separately, and then
swirls it in some olive oil and then slurps it down one at a time. That's Vivek.
It's a fucking it's a wild accusation, I gotta say.
Every once in a while, he drops the noodle and it slides down his face, and then he goes slurps
it up. Wipes it off before anyone can get a picture of it, and then realizes he's alone at home.
And he just takes up all that grease all over his face, and he just goes whoop and puts it into his hair. That's how he gets ready for the day.
That's breakfast,
morning.
Baby. That's another bowl of spaghetti and olive oil for breakfast.
more facts that you won't hear from the mainstream in either party or the mainstream media.
God damn it.
The regions of Ukraine that are occupied by Russia right now, in the Donbass, Luhansk, Donetsk, these are Russian-speaking regions that have not even been part of Ukraine since 2014, that other people probably couldn't
Fork that spaghetti in my mouth.
Those are the hard facts. And so to frame this as some kind of battle between
He actually is spun as fuck off some speed for real. He got a little too TikToked out off the riddle skittles.
Riddle skittles. The banning of Christians. That is actually what's happening. They're using the Ukrainian Orthodox Church. They have banned them. The Ukrainian Parliament just did
we're
this
an
last
hour
week.
in. They have not talked about America at all. We're just on wars and problems with other countries, huh?
He's like, that shit hasn't been part of Ukraine. It's been so long. You can't even imagine how long. It's been like 9 years. It's like, but let's keep talking about fucking 9/11.
And spaghetti.
And I think you owe it to the American people, Nikki, to at least this one time
Ramaswamy,
at least condemn.
thank you. That's time.
At least to
Mr.
condemn
Ramaswamy,
their
thank
banning
you.
of Christians.
Mr. Ramaswamy,
or else
thank
we're
you.
talking out of both sides
Mr.
of the
Ramaswamy,
house.
thank you. We asked the questions. Ambassador Haley, what is your take on more funding for Ukraine?
I am telling you, Putin and President Xi are salivating at the thought that someone like that could become president. They would love to.
The circus has begun.
Nikki Haley voted most likely to kill a hobo in high school. It was crazy because she did it on purpose, too.
She planned it. It's premeditated.
So this is what I will tell you.
We're driving Russia into China's hands because of
You
these
had
foolish
your time
policies.
to talk. The ambassador has the floor.
Thank
Ambassador,
you. The
please.
first thing I'll tell you is we all remember what that thug did
Oh,
when he invaded
T-word.
Ukraine. We all know that 500,000 people have died because of Putin. And here is a freedom-loving, pro-American country that is fighting for its survival and its democracy. No, I don't think we should give them cash. I think we should give them the equipment and the ammunition to win. And I'll tell you, if Biden had done it when they first asked for it, this war would be over. But let's also remember this. When you left Afghanistan in shambles and left them with a ton of weapons and money, it's not that we left, it's how we left. When you look
So it's
at Ukraine,
Biden's fault we left
don't think for a
Afghanistan,
second
and it's
now
Biden's
everybody
fault
wants
we
to
didn't
move away
destroy
from
Russia.
Ukraine. They'll want to move away from Israel a year from now. America can never be so arrogant to think we don't need friends. After 9/11, we needed a lot of friends. Now is the time to get partnerships. This unholy alliance between Russia, Ukraine, and China is real. There is a reason that
God, she just speaks like a real ambassador of the people, huh? We need friends to commit crimes.
To support Israelis because they know that if Iran wins, Russia wins.
Ambassador.
We have to see the combination of the three.
Ambassador, thank you. Governor Christie, what is your take? And how long should Americans be expected to help fund
So
the
my
war?
boy Crispy got
Kristen, let's remember the last time that we turned our back on a shooting war in Europe. It bought us just a couple of years. And then 500,000 Americans were killed in Europe to defeat Hitler. This is not a choice. This is the price we pay for being the leaders of the free world. And the fact is,
Freedom isn't free, Stephen.
Is not
how many
just
years in the past do we have to
Russia
go
and
to get to this debate? It's just
Governor
wild.
Haley knows this. Iran is in the middle of this as well, and so is North Korea. And they are all working to support Russia right now. And the reason they're doing it is because dictators work together. People who believe in democracy work together. We must stand with all of those that are standing up for democracy and freedom in this world. And by the way, let's remind everybody of this. In 1992, this country made a promise to Ukraine.
He's
We
trying
said
his
if
best,
you
though.
return nuclear missiles that were part of the old Soviet Union to Russia and they invade you, we will protect you. An American promise that's 31 years old is no different than an American promise that's made tonight on this stage. We need to stand by it. And those of us who forget history are doomed to repeat it.
Psych.
And
I'd like to respond.
the absolute giving in to dictators, which is being suggested on this stage, just shows the immaturity of the approach.
I'd like to
Governor
respond
Christie,
to that.
thank you. Governor DeSantis, I'd like you to weigh in on this idea. Are you concerned?
Look at the fucking people in the audience. Who goes to these?
Fucking psychos.
Well, any suggestion by Zelensky or anyone else that we're going to eventually have U.S. troops there, I can tell the American people when I'm president that will not happen. We are not going to send your sons and daughters to Ukraine. I am going to send troops.
Look
to
at
our
his
southern
bobble
border.
ass
If you
head.
look at the threats that
DeSantis's
we face,
head
terrorists
is
have
just
come in
all
to our
over. Like if
southern
you
border.
flick the
I'm gonna
bobblehead,
shut
it would jiggle
down.
less.
I'm going to have the military, and I'm going to deport the people who've come, particularly under Biden, who've come from the Middle East.
God,
come
these
from
dudes
other places. Now,
really
Biden
hate
wants $105
terrorists.
billion.
We get it.
Yeah.
60, most of that's Ukraine, including some of it going to pay pensions for bureaucrats and salaries. That is a totally ridiculous use of American tax dollars. He says he has money for border to try to do, and the media repeat that. When you
He's
look at
all
it, what most
over,
of the
dude.
money is money to process more illegal aliens into this country. How is that solving the problem? That's making the problem worse. And what does he do for the Indo-Pacific? A pittance. That is the top threat that
He looks like he's being controlled by a epileptic ventriloquist. You know what I mean?
He's just a man with his hand up his back, shaking.
Yeah.
He's having a real medical emergency, and everyone's just watching Ron DeSantis go for it.
You know who really lost this debate?
The guy who the ventriloquist controlling Ron DeSantis.
Ron DeSantis' back molars just being ground to dust right now. His dentist is crying.
No, he's happy. He's making bank.
So if I may
Thank you,
respond
Governor.
to the Ukraine
Hugh.
question.
In fact, we are going to go from the hot wars in Ukraine and Gaza and Israel to what many people are calling the new Cold War with China. And I remind the audience that it's important for our visitors at home to be able to hear you, and especially for the people in Beijing to hear you. Many Republicans believe that the Chinese Communist Party and General Secretary Xi is an existential threat to the United States. The flashpoint is Taiwan.
Oh, great. Let's talk about Taiwan now. Like, Americans give a fuck about Taiwan. Every single question has been like, should we go to war with Russia or China?
What do you think?
Should we kill more Iranians or?
Let's speak more on that.
We have not even touched our own country.
It's now at 291. Is that big enough to deter and, if necessary, defeat an invasion of Taiwan?
China has the largest naval fleet in the world. They have 350 ships. They'll have 400 ships in 2 years. We won't even have 350 ships in 2 decades. China has built up their military. It's not just land, air, and sea. They're doing cyber. They're doing artificial intelligence. They're doing space.
No, talking about
America
space.
needs to modernize our military. We need to do everything we can. The first thing is you go and
Hey,
you
if
make
there's
sure
one
you
thing
have
Nikki
the
Haley
backup
knows about is
of Ukraine.
warships
That's why
in the
the
China
Taiwanese
Sea.
want us
Trust
to
me.
support
She's
Ukraine
ambassador.
because they know that sends the biggest message to China. The second thing is we go to China and we start being tough on them. No more sales of our American soil to China, and let's take back what they've already stolen. Then you go and to the universities. No more having millions of dollars go to our universities. Then we will go and end all formal trade relations with China until they stop murdering Americans from fentanyl, something Ron has yet to say that he's going to do. And then we modernize our military.
What a
When
jump.
we strengthen our military.
What a jump. We were talking about Taiwan. Now she's talking about fentanyl and how we're going to end all trade with China because of fentanyl.
Well, she didn't have any material prepared on Taiwan, so
in Israel,
Apparently
in
not.
Ukraine, and we should be arming Taiwan. Make sure they have the equipment they need. Make sure they have the training they need now. There is nothing China fears more than knowing that America will have Taiwan's back. Let's make sure that we show it by making sure they have the equipment they need.
Governor DeSantis, my question is specifically about the Navy. It's at 291. It's going to go down perhaps as low as 280. Is it enough? And what would you build if you were going to build more?
Not enough. We have to have the ability to back up a strategy of denial of President Xi's ambitions. And if China is able to be the world's leading superpower, that will affect you and your family in ways that are going to be very bad. They will export authoritarianism all around the world as the cost of doing business. They will impose things like social credit scores and internet monitoring. So this is to this generation.
Hey, do you know if we're taken over by China, things will be different?
We're going to get to 355 ships at the end of the
That's
first
wild,
term,
Ron.
385 ships at the end of the second term, but we're going to have a path to 600 ships over the next 20 years. I think the future of freedom is going to be determined.
Ron's
in
a
the
real soldier
Indo-Pacific.
because he's got the most ships, the best ships.
A bunch of pontoon boats down in Florida. If you tie enough pontoon boats together, that's basically a warship.
Basically.
Get enough fucking rednecks on there with some natty light.
That was like their number one way to do economic development. In Florida, I banned China from buying land in this state, and we kicked out on our universities.
Nice.
And we kicked the Confucius Institutes out of our universities. We've recognized the threat, and we've acted swiftly and decisively.
Senator Scott, you've been in the Congress since 2011. Defense spending has fallen over that entire period of time. Where are we going to get the money, and what would you build?
Who's this albino nerd speaking? Where'd he come from?
Who's this fucking nerd?
Number one,
Who's this ghost
we
of
do
a
not
man?
have currently a defense industrial bank to allow us to have the kind of production that we need in order to keep America safe. Frankly, if we are not prepared to fight and engage in 3 continents at the same time, think about where we are today. In the Middle East, we are in the midst of trying to back our strongest ally. In Eastern Europe, we've seen our resources and our weaponry help degrade the Russian military. The Indo-Pacific, we have...
He absolutely comes across as the kind of guy that's like, when I was your age, we used to just drink out of the hose.
Yeah.
And it's like, you get it with all that red algae and shit you get in your fucking hose.
You could tell the lead poisoning did a number on him.
We are going to have to invest heavily in our military, but we're also going to have to invest heavily in an industrial base so that we can hit our objectives from a military perspective, not only with our ships, but also with our planes.
With our planes, too, not just our ships.
In order for us to recalibrate,
sometimes we would have these ground vehicles called tanks that have guns.
As we create more than 4 million new jobs by having high-tech manufacturing come back to America, decoupling from China, so that we focus our attention on creating that industrial revolution that will be necessary for us to achieve.
We don't just need boats, we need other vehicles,
that is
too.
ready to be lethal and come home safe.
Senator, Mr. Ramaswamy, I'm looking for specifics.
Hey, Senator, shut the fuck up.
When would they be in the water? How big would the fleet get?
Can you say that
First
one
answer
more
is
goddamn
end the
time?
toxic divest to invest program. For people who don't know about that, we're decommissioning ships in the South China Sea. The foundation of war is economics. We build our defense industrial base at home. But here's the dirty little secret. Our actual defense industrial base depends on China for the supply chain, for the F-35 jets, for the ships that we're
gets
building.
it.
Think about this. If it isn't to actually be strong against our enemy, China, we depend on them for that, just like we depend on them for pharmaceuticals. Just like we depend on.
So what's your solution, Big V man?
So here's why we can't get tough with China. It's because we depend on them for our modern way of life, and
because we need their slave labor to build ourselves up.
How the fuck else are we gonna get our phones and our shoes and shit?
Yeah. Today, if you were alive, that's the Declaration of Independence that I will sign as the next president.
Fucking John Hancock over here.
Ron DeSantis was correct about acknowledging Nikki Haley's tough talk when she was ambassador to the UN, calling China our great friend, bringing the CCP to South Carolina. What he left out, though, Ron, and be honest about it, there was a lobbying-based exemption in that bill that allowed Chinese nationals to buy land within a 20-mile radius of a military base lobbied for by
swallowing his own face.
Call a spade a spade.
He is
we need
pissed.
politicians
So
who are
pissed.
independent of the forces that increase our dependence on China. My message to Xi Jinping is this. You are done buying land in this country. You will not donate to universities in this country. U.S. businesses won't expand into the Chinese market until you play by the same set of rules.
Ramaswamy,
you're kicked out of the WTO, and you actually have to have accountability for the COVID-19 pandemic financially, which unleashed hell on the world. We have to hold them accountable.
You have
Nice. Started a war with China.
Cool.
We need to increase our naval capacity.
He's ready
by
for
at least
it.
20% over the course of the next several years. I think we have to, at minimum, be able to meet our AUKUS agreement standards. Right now, we are at risk of not even being able to meet our AUKUS.
Bro, his eyes are tweaking.
Australia and the
Look,
UK.
count the
So what we
blinks.
need to do is have a plan that reverses the trajectory of the divest to invest program
Hugh, I'd like to
by
respond.
20% over the next 3 years.
Governor Christie?
You know, my first observation, Hugh, is that nobody answers your question. And my second observation is these three in the middle think they're the enemy. I know China is the enemy, and that's what we should be focused on. So let's be really clear.
See, Chris Christie's a straight shooter. At least he didn't babble on for 4 minutes before he declared China the enemy.
Yeah.
And that is the first place I would go to increase.
Get it out in the first goddamn sentence.
Absolutely.
Like a real patriot.
Like a real American.
Quietly and effectively. And if we are going to deter China from invading Taiwan, the only way we're going to do it is to make sure.
I mean, China is evil, right?
Yeah, they suck. Yeah, but
nuclear submarines from the United States of America are in the South China Sea and in that area and ready to strike on them if they decide to move on Taiwan. And so we, as our first priority, need to go directly to our nuclear sub-program, Hugh, and we need to increase it drastically. That would be priority number one. Ships would come next, but to me, the ships are secondary choice here. The submarines are the single most important thing that we could be using to deter China. But the other thing we could do to deter China is to let them know that the blood money they're spending for Russia in Ukraine right now will not be effective, that we send Putin home with his tail between his legs and make them understand that the same fate waits for them if they decide to move towards Taiwan with a more aggressive nuclear sub-program. We'll be able to make that threat real.
Thank you, Governor. We're going to take a brief pause now, and we'll be back to the Republicans.
See, at least Chris Christie knows how to make a real threat.
These fucking nerds.
Commercial break. God, that music.
Damn.
Commercial was too short to jack off. That's why.
Barely got my belt undone.
You had a belt on?
No.
And welcome back to tonight's NBC News Republican presidential
Called Theater of the Mind, Stephen. Painting a picture for the audience.
Specifically about TikTok. Last week, Congressman Mike Gallagher, who is chairman of the House Bipartisan Select Committee on the Chinese Communist Party, published a long essay on TikTok following the flooding of pro-Hamas propaganda onto TikTok accounts across the United States. Chairman Gallagher called it shocking. He called the app predatory, controlled by America's preeminent adversary, one used to push propaganda and divide America. It's spyware, he said, a means of surveillance. Governor Christie, do you agree with Chairman Gallagher? And if so, would you ban or force the sale of TikTok?
Nice.
I agree 100% with Chairman Gallagher, and let me say this. TikTok is not only spyware, it is polluting the minds of American young people all throughout this country. And they're doing it intentionally.
Oh, yeah. Get rid of the violent video games, too, man. Fuck it up.
I mean, TikTok is spyware, though.
I'm cool with that part. The part where it's like, it's bad it's polluting the minds of the people in America. It's like, but not Instagram or, anything else, any other app on your phone.
About TikTok.
It legitimately is spy software, but
yeah,
it doesn't have to be.
And when you saw what happened in the last few weeks with all of this anti-Semitic, horrible stuff that their algorithms were pushing out at a gargantuan rate, this is China trying to further divide the United States of America. And this is one of the big failings among many of the Trump administration. He talked tough about TikTok. I heard him do it many times. But when it came down to it, he did not ban them when he could have and should have. And now since then, we've had an additional nearly 6 years of this type of poison being put out throughout the United States, even putting aside the spying, which we know is going on, and the theft of American personal data and information. So in my first week as president, we would ban TikTok.
He takes it too far. He's booming.
He's booming over here. Going full boomer.
He's not wrong that there is a ton of propaganda aimed at kids on TikTok.
Yeah, that's for sure.
But it feels like the video games are bad argument too.
Yeah, there's a certain degree of that. I think plus there's Instagram and Google and all the other ones that also are like, they're absolutely stealing all of your data. Like, I guess it's not stealing because by using it, you consent to the terms of use, yada, yada. But if you want to put propaganda on the internet, you can put it on the internet. There's no stopping it.
They want to go ahead and sell it.
let them go ahead and sell it. But I'll tell you another reason we would do it. Facebook's not in China. X is not in China. They're not permitting a free flow of information to the Chinese people from our social media companies, yet we just open the door and let them do what they're doing. TikTok should be banned because they are poisoning American minds, and I would do it week one.
Thank you, Governor. I want to go to Governor DeSantis. Would you ban or force the sale of TikTok, regardless of whether or not China allowed American apps to operate in China?
Yes, I think that China is the top threat we face. They've been very effective at infiltrating different parts of our society. So my policy on China and the Chinese Communist Party is very simple. We win, they lose. And in order to do that, it's not just military. It's economic and it's cultural. And as the dad of a 6'5" and a 3-year-old,
a 6'5" 3-year-old,
I'm concerned about the data that they're getting from our young people and what they're doing to pollute the minds of our young people. These kids get these devices and they have a mind of their own. And I know a lot of parents are looking, it's hard to even keep it out. China's obviously the most extreme, but this is happening with other things. So we are going to do that, and we are going to make sure to protect the American people. It's a full spectrum approach to be able to fend China off. Yes, military deterrence. Yes, economic decoupling, but also their role in our culture. If we don't ignore,
I'm getting tired listening to DeSantis. He makes me feel sleepy.
He looks like the type of person that skins people.
He absolutely does.
Speak to the fact that 2 people hit me and you didn't let me respond.
You're right. The grinding of his teeth in the back is just
gnarly, dude.
Evident and clear.
10 years ago, yes, I brought a fiberglass company 10 years ago to South Carolina. But Ron, you are the chair of your Economic Development Agency.
Ooh, shots fired.
Last week said Florida is the ideal place for Chinese businesses. Not only that, you have a company.
Look at his hands.
That is manufacturer of Chinese.
Where do they go?
Planes.
It's just gripping the fucking podium.
Two of your airports now, one which is
just imagining it's Nikki's neck.
Then you have another company that's expanding, and they were just invaded by the Department of Homeland Security. So mine was 10 years ago.
You gave
Yours
them
was
stuff.
6
I
months
didn't
ago.
give them anything.
What's your story?
And I abolished that agency that she's talking about.
No,
Enterprise Florida, we abolished it, and of course we banned China.
Yeah, tell him, Ron.
Not exactly a great recruiting pitch if you're banning.
He's doing the Trump hands.
They're such a perfect couple.
Ron and Trump.
We've talked about this. You campaign on TikTok. How do you get TikTok banned if you use it?
Oh, yeah. I want to laugh at why Nikki Haley didn't answer your question, which was about looking at families in the eye. In the last debate, she made fun of me for actually joining TikTok while her own daughter was actually using the app for a long time.
Going after the family.
First.
Leave my daughter out of your voice.
Out of his voice.
The next generation of Americans are using it. And that's actually the point. You have her supporters propping her up. That's fine. Here's the truth.
You're just
the easy answer is actually to say
called him scum.
We got to go further. We have to ban
your child was using an app on their phone. First, how does he know that is one thing.
Because he's sending her dick pics.
U.S. user data to the CCP. Now, that's a U.S.-owned company. So this is the problem when you have Republicans that temporarily go the way the winds blow, and now it's popular to talk tough on China. When she was UN ambassador, called them literally, her words, not mine, our great friend. You can't be fair weather fans of the right policy. Get to the root cause. Even U.S. companies in Silicon Valley are regularly doing it. Cut the virtue signaling. The fact of the matter is Democrats are on TikTok today. The only person, one of the few people who is putting up content the way the actual algorithms work, speaking for pro-Israel views or others, is
Ambassador
me.
Haley,
more Republicans will join it. But stop U.S. companies from turning over data to Chinese companies. That's the real answer.
Like Kristen don't get to respond to personal attacks, but you do.
Thank you very much. You know, when he talks about me praising China, he doesn't know the fact that the reason China was praised was because I negotiated with China and Russia the largest set of sanctions against North Korea in a generation. That is literally the reason North Korea stopped testing ballistic missiles. So I said China did good on their part. That was a negotiation you could never do.
Is what you said, Nikki. Those are your words, not mine. And so just own up to it.
You would never
you can change
been able
your mind.
to get
That's
that
allowed.
negotiation
but don't
done.
lie to the people about what you've said or what you've
done.
Ooh, they fight.
My
you have brought
entire
them to South
career at
Carolina.
the
Ron is
United
right about
Nations.
that.
Every day I fought China.
Who's
and I did
Every day she's fighting China.
Every day.
Every day.
Every day she takes a 14-hour flight to China.
On human rights, I did it by making sure that we held them accountable on everything that they did. That's the reason we got out of Human Rights Council. That's the reason we called them out. And there's not been a day I haven't stopped.
Senator Scott, it is your turn. Mr.
The millions
Ramaswamy,
you made afterwards.
everybody else is hanging on to the rules here, Mr. Ramaswamy. Senator Scott.
Thank you. We should.
Oh, God.
This is clapping for me already. This is wonderful.
The camera hasn't even been on him for the last 5 minutes.
What we should do is ban TikTok, period. Now, we saw under former President Trump, he tried to ban TikTok.
He's just churning butter under his
If you cannot ban TikTok,
I can't go anywhere without my butter churner.
presence on the app. Period. We also should provide, in my parents' Bill of Rights, we give parents the opportunity to give their kids permission under 14 to be on those apps. I think it's incredibly important for us as Americans.
Yeah, it's the parents' fault.
Yeah, blame it on the parents, of course.
Especially of our kids. Where does it go?
Hey, how about we just let kids do whatever the fuck they want and stop caring, okay?
Yeah. Eat candy for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Steal, murder, vote.
Look at naked adults on TikTok.
Yeah, they're going to find it anyways.
Watch porn, smoke meth, whatever. It's all good.
When they turn 18 and they have to take responsibility for their actions, then they learn the life lesson.
Then we can send them to jail like adults.
That they stop stealing our intellectual property.
My dude has never had a piece of intellectual property. What is he talking about? His family's butter recipe?
Yeah,
and we start making sure that we create six-figure income for jobs made in America through my strategy.
Kristen.
He's trying to get everybody six figures.
Thank you so much. We're now going to talk about Venezuela, where millions have fled political and economic turmoil. Many Venezuelan immigrants are settling right.
I'll tell you this right now, Americans don't give a fuck about Venezuela.
No.
We got enough.
There's so many other things to be stressed about.
And backed one of Maduro's rivals. President Biden temporarily eased sanctions to
My understanding is things chilled out a little bit, but I think it's kind of still in a weird flux there. But I don't truly understand it very well.
And what would your approach be?
We should never rely on Venezuela for oil like Biden has had to go beg. I'm going to unleash all of America's energy potential on day
Bobo
one.
the monkey
I'm
just
taking all the Biden regulations, the Green Deal, ripping it up.
Just ate too big of a piece of his banana.
We're going to lower your gas prices. We're going to create jobs. We're going to lower energy costs. But we're also going to be more
You're going to fucking pump this land dry. Wait, we're not doing solar panels. We're not putting up fucking wind turbines, but we are putting oil rigs in everyone's backyard. Everyone gets your own personal oil rig.
It's good for Iran and it's good for China. So I would turn the screws on the
And you
Venezuelan
have to pay
regime.
for
I think
it.
it's a corrupt dictatorial regime, and we should never go hat in hand begging for oil from them.
Just to be clear, would you reimpose the sanctions?
Yes, absolutely.
Ambassador Haley, what would your approach be?
I stood on the Salmon Boulevard Bridge
The
and watched
Salmon
thousands of
Boulevard Bridge.
Venezuelans
Oh, boy.
cross for hours in the hot sun, holding their babies to get the one meal they might get that day, going from
It's
Venezuela
another fake
to
empathy
Colombia.
by Haley.
They were fleeing socialism,
And then I killed them.
we need to make sure that we do everything we can to sanction Maduro. We shouldn't be getting dirty oil, and Biden just gave 500,000 Venezuelans temporary priority status, which is just going to have more of them come. But on the energy side, it cracks me up that Ron continues to do this. He has opposed fracking. He's opposed drilling. Last time he said it wasn't true.
On this is that she is
everybody found out
correct.
that it was true. He opposed it before Florida voters
Post-debate.
even voted on it. He was praised by the Sierra Club.
Got caught in
And
a
you're
little
trying to make
oopsie
up for it
doodle.
and act
on
like
this.
you weren't a liberal when it comes to the environment. You were. You always have been. Just own it. If that's
So
the
funny
case,
in
but
his
don't keep
debate
saying
with
you're something that you're not.
Let me respond.
Gavin Newsom, he was like, Gavin's like, Ron, you're lying. During COVID, you did follow science. And he's like, I did not follow science. She's like, you did care about the environment. He's like, no, I didn't care about the environment.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, what a piece of shit.
That's
fucking idiot.
Just so mixed up.
This is a question that will go to all of you. An Iowa voter recently told
How
NBC News, how am I going to
how fucking spineless do you have to be so moldable?
To be yelling on stage, I didn't follow the science.
Yeah, exactly.
I would never dare follow the science.
Yeah.
I'll start with you. What would you do the moment you take office to help Americans manage the cost of living? So we're talking about short term here.
My mother was a single mother who raised me and my brother in a very challenging economic situation.
I just can't deal with him, dude. I just hate him so much. I thought Ben Carson, I think that's what that loser's name was.
Yeah.
The sleepy man with the sleepy eyes a couple years back. I thought he was bad enough, but this motherfucker.
I was interested in the fact that he was a neuroscientist or something, and he was a neurosurgeon. Running for office. I was like, oh, that's really interesting. And I was like, oh no, he sucks. He sucks too.
He wasn't a neuroscientist. He just needed neurosurgery.
We should focus on being energy dominant. America is the home to more energy resources than any other
Is anyone going to vote for it? Does he have like any... Is he polling well anywhere?
No. Nikki Haley is the top right now. Vivek dropped. Ron is approaching dropping. Haley... Chris has nothing. Mm-hmm. Haley is the top spot right now, but she's like 20% compared to Trump. Like Trump's leading Biden in the polls as of today by a not considerable, but enough that it matters. Mm-hmm. And Haley is like 1/5 of that support.
From China and from murderous dictators and tyrants around.
Also, all the evidence for Trump's conspiracy trials is starting to come together, and the Georgia phone call was one of like 5 to 7 states that
really?
And they sent fake electors to like 9 states.
Damn.
And those people are all being charged in crimes too. The coup conspiracy is was an extensive plan that the American people do not understand truly was an attempt to have Pence deny the vote, steal the votes from the American people to declare Trump a president. It's like so disgusting to hear the law and order people defend such blatant anti-democratic fascist strongman bullshit.
And what's wild to me is like all of those people are going to fold. Like you might have a couple people that are like, "Oh, I'm gonna try to ride it out," and but so many people are gonna be like, "Nah, I'm gonna, this is what happened."
His lawyers
are gonna take their fucking plea
on the RICO charges. Like, it's more than 3 of Trump's lawyers are testifying.
Yeah, man,
it's like
that don't look good, homie.
It does not. But if he can win the election before and stall the cases before anything's conclusive, he could skate too. It's just like so fucked right now.
Such the wildest bullshit.
It's so crazy.
In order to achieve our objective. Proverbs 22:7 reminds us that the borrower is slave to the lender. We have become an indentured servant too often to countries like China. By having an energy economy, we start allowing this nation to once again return.
Senator, thank you. Let me ask the same question to Governor DeSantis. Can you give us some, you ticked off a number of things a moment ago, but some specific examples of ways that would put people on a better economic footing right away?
So I started off working minimum wage jobs. I did $6 an hour as an electrician's assistant. I worked all kinds of things to be able to get through school. And I did that because I believed in America, if you work hard and get the most out of your God-given ability, you can get ahead.
God-given rights.
And what's happening now, many of you are working hard and you're falling further and further behind.
But Ron, what if God gave me the right to take away your God-given rights?
Yeah, Ron, what if my God-given ability is to kick you in the shins?
When they go grocery shopping, what they now do is they figure out what they have to take out of the cart once it's
just another
reenact,
stupid
because it brings
story.
up so
No
much
data,
faster
no
and so much
facts.
higher at the cash register that
People
they
can't afford all the groceries.
full
Thanks,
cart of
fucking
groceries
Ron,
Yeah.
candidate for the president of the United States of America.
Are you going to come pay for my groceries, Ron?
Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take all the executive orders, the regulations, everything involving Bidenomics. I'm going to rip it up, and I'm going to throw it in the trash can on day one where it belongs. That is going to give the economy breathing room, and I'm also going to rein in the Federal Reserve. They have helped create, with their reckless monetary policy, what we have faced since the COVID-19 pandemic. They botched it. Congress botched it. Both parties are to blame. Fed should focus on stable prices. They are not an economic central planner for the American people.
Governor, thank you. Mr. Ramaswamy, weigh in on this. Ways that you can improve people's financial condition in the short term.
Right, and as a CEO, the economic question is core to my vision and policy prescription for this country. Increase the supply of everything. It's the law of supplies and demand. Increase the supply of energy. That brings down the cost of energy, grows the economy. Drill, frack, burn coal, embrace nuclear. Increase the supply of labor in this country. Stop using our taxpayer money to pay people more to stay at home instead of to go to work. Increase the supply of housing. People don't talk about this one in the Republican Party. The land use restrictions are constricting the supply of housing. That's making housing more expensive for ordinary Americans across this country. So that's the true answer. And I think it takes a CEO in the White House who actually understands this to get this done. Because Americans at home, they know the Bidenomics is a lie. Prices are going up. Interest rates and mortgages to buy your home are going up. But wages have remained flat. That's the hard diagnosis for our economy. And this is about more than just our economy. I say this as a member of my generation. I'm 38 years old.
As a member of his own generation.
Oh, boy.
As a Republican. The reason my generation has lost our sense of national pride in part is because people in my generation feel like the American dream isn't available to them. And part of the reason why is we burdened them with four-year college degrees that did not serve their head start on the American dream.
Says the man with $950 million.
Yeah, exactly. Tell me about how I feel. Tell me.
People will be more proud of a country if we're all making more money in that country. This is how we revive national pride and our identity, and it will take a CEO in the White House with zero-based budget.
So what does he want to raise minimum wage to? Because you know he doesn't want to raise it either.
Yeah, exactly.
Part of the entire premise of the question, and I agree with Tim on
tax
this,
breaks, interest rates, whatever.
Absolutely, energy is the key to this because it drives every one of those other prices. You know, now food gets to your grocery store, it gets trucked. And those truckers have to pay for fuel, for the higher fuel prices. And when you go ahead and you tell people, we are going to unleash every bit of American energy, every bit of its potential, what happens in the futures markets? The prices go down because those people who are believing that the Biden program will continue are the ones who are bidding this up. And let me tell you the other place that's bidding it up, in the Middle East. And so if you don't believe that making sure that Israel and that Israel situation that's going on right now
right back to Israel
isn't resolved and resolved quickly as President of the United States and bring stability back, that will also not permit countries like Saudi Arabia and others to be able to jack their prices as well in what they say is in response to a crisis, when it's really what it's in response to is putting more money in their pockets. When they have an American president who knows that Israel must be defended not with humanitarian pauses and not with suggestions for ceasefire, but with letting them know we will supply them with everything they need, that will also bring stability to the market.
I'll be honest, economics is so much more complicated than the average person gives it credit for.
Mm-hmm.
And I've always struggled with it, honestly. But my understanding from people that are a lot smarter than me is essentially that part of this prediction we're in with inflation, which has been improving, as well as unemployment at pretty much all-time lows, is that when the economy was really hot at the start of Trump's presidency, he spent like crazy. He increased the deficit and was running a red-hot economy. When Chris Christie says, like, hey, when we put out maximum American energy, when we're drilling the most oil, when we're driving prices down and the futures look good because we're cranking out power. My understanding is that is all true, but that you can't run it hot forever either.
Right.
You have to wax and wane, and that often happens with the Republican presidency. That when it's over, and it often, goes back to Democrat or whatever, it creates those fluctuations that are hard to balance out. Like, you can't hard spend and like debt everything forever. So it's like there's practical or economical repercussions, but it's also, you can if you want to live in a wasteland, but you can't max produce oil forever either.
Right.
And I don't understand why there's not more of a balanced conversation. Like, what is the minimum amount of production we need that meets economic needs without putting the future of the country in a way worse position? And I understand that's really complicated, especially when you include like international oil trade, as well as the fact that even if the US is doing like a really clean energy production, the more first worlds transition to that, the more third world or like struggling countries are only going to increase dirty energy production. So there's a real like trade back and forth. But the solution can't just always be things are a little tough right now, so we're going to run everything red hot and not worry about what the realistic futures of that would be.
There comes, my understanding of economics is mostly shortened down to, like, I understand supply and demand and how that works. I understand.
You give me a cookie, I take a cookie.
Right. I understand the costing and pricing of things, like how that works, so that, everything is, when you buy an apple, just for an example, you're not just buying an apple, you're paying for the labor of the
water.
Yeah, the water, the land. You're paying for the labor of the people who picked and processed and cleaned and put the fucking sticker on the apple and all the other shit. You're paying for all of that. And, the maintenance of the fucking farm equipment, all that shit, which, like, I understand how that works. I know. And I agree with you on, you can't go full tilt all the time and then expect to be able to continue it. There has to be, given that there's so many variables as well, there still should be a certain amount of data that, there's a certain amount of data we could just put it in a fucking Excel sheet, put the variables in, give the links to a.
It's so much. There are institutions that have just fucking server banks of algorithms running. Like, even the debate of like, hey, we're in a recession. Do we deficit spend? Like with COVID, do we send out stimulus checks? Like, that alone is so complicated because there's no true like solved economic theory.
Right.
To my understanding, there's like principles, and then everything after that is like an experiment.
It's practice.
Yeah. It's just like, well, this has worked for countries. This has worked for the economy. This is what, in theory, you should do, but you don't know until it plays out. It's just like so sketch, especially with like fake money, like not tied to real assets. And then you bring in digital currency. It's just such a weird fucking world.
It's it's all fucking wild out here. Everything's make believe, man. We're just fucking throwing around Monopoly money to buy our
trading rocks for seashells.
Exactly. Man, can we bring that back?
Energy is the key to bringing this down. It's what every American family needs when they turn on their lights,
nuclear
fill
energy.
up their car, and go to the grocery store.
Badly.
We need to do that first.
Give me a fucking block of uranium I can keep in my backyard that powers my neighborhood.
I legitimately don't understand why every house doesn't have a bicycle that powers it.
Yeah, truly.
Like, we are at the point where that Jetsons age bullshit is plausible. I run like to offset power, you know?
Right. It should, and it would be good for, the people. Imagine if you knew that you could like
energy credits,
ride your bike for, ride the bike for a couple hours a day and it powers your house for that day. Like,
first thing I would do is I will eliminate the federal gas and diesel
and you
tax
reward by local energy credits and shit.
Yeah.
So your leftover credits.
The spending binge that's happening by Republicans and Democrats in Congress. I will make sure, one, we claw back the $500
Oh, she's got claws.
Yeah, she's going to claw it back.
That are out there. Instead of 87,000 IRS agents going after middle America, we'll go after the hundreds of billions of dollars of COVID fraud that exists, one out of every $7. We'll stop the spending. We'll stop the borrowing. We'll eliminate the earmarks.
COVID fraud? Does she mean like people who took like PPP loans and stuff? Okay.
There was a lot of fraud, but
yeah, there definitely was. I mean, everyone saw that coming, though.
Yeah, it wasn't a surprise. So it was the cost of doing it,
It's like, but also if you took that risk, not aware of the fact that of course they're monitoring this money and how it's being spent. Like, of course they are.
My understanding is they've reclaimed a lot of that money too. It's not unaccounted for.
It would be a false number to give you that. We have got to understand this is a crisis. It is a national security concern. If we don't deal with what's going to happen with that interest expense in a few years, we're going to look like Japan, and we can't let that happen.
Japan's pretty cool, man. Super cool.
Thank you very much, Christian.
Americans could see their Social Security benefits drastically cut in the next decade because the program
if America looked more like Japan, we could have that new season of Naruto out by like next week.
I don't know about all that, but Japan is pretty based, except their racism.
Yeah, that's not.
They don't
based.
like us.
That's super not based.
reforms to Social Security.
Sure, and we have to deal with this problem. Now, look, if we raise the retirement age a few years for folks that are in their 30s and 40s,
Social Security fails, it would be like the biggest conspiracy. Like, for American trust, it would just be fucked.
Oh yeah, it would be over. That would be the revolution. That would be the.
It really is like the ultimate pyramid scheme that we need to work.
Yeah.
Social Security can be solvent or not. Retirement age, eligibility for the program in general, and taxes. That's it. We are already overtaxed in this country, and we should not raise those taxes. But on eligibility also, I don't know if out there tonight, and if you're watching Warren, I don't know if Warren Buffett is collecting Social Security, but if he is, shame on you.
I really don't like the line that we pay enough of taxes. We shouldn't tolerate higher taxes.
Yeah, I don't fundamentally agree on that either.
No, I'm willing to pay 99% of my income as tax if it covers everything I need and want.
Yeah, like if you just walk into the grocery store, grab the shit you need, and walk out.
Yeah, like it's all what is a fair trade for our taxes.
Yeah.
Like Canada, I believe Canada, I think a lot of European countries do, like every single penny of your taxes at the end of the year, you don't file your taxes, it's done for you, and you also get statements of where all of your money went to.
That's the thing that makes me mad, is like, I want it to be easier to access the information of where my taxes are going.
There's no opacity.
I feel like people would vote a lot differently if they saw how much of their paycheck went to different places that they, don't fully agree with. Or like when you see the local bills come up that are like, something about public transit and this and that. It's like, how, an increase of 20% something on this. And it's like, that doesn't tell me anything. Like, what are they getting
like
now?
3 cents this year off my,
How much, like, what does that cost? What does that mean? What does that, like, I get what it does, but like, there's so much of that that's not clear that makes me mad.
Well, like, to your point, it would greatly influence how people vote. Like, anytime there's a new public school levy or a new tax for the Cincinnati Zoo or whatever, it is not clear what is what on those voting issues. It's not clear how much money that is. I have no idea, to the point where, unless you do a lot of research, you're better off not voting at all on it, only because it's so convoluted. Like, we have no idea where shit actually goes. And it would be such a doable change, too. Like, if you know, hey, under this president, I'm going to get 10% higher taxes, but X, Y, and Z of social issues or community issues or infrastructure that I care about is taken care of, then you can decide if you do or don't want that. But to just say, taxes are too high, we shouldn't tax you, is stupid as fuck, because what if we don't get the extra tax, but everything in our life costs more? What if inflation keeps... Like, it doesn't tell me anything to just say, hey, we're sick of these high taxes.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, that doesn't address any of the problems.
Exactly.
Dumbass.
I've had this idea. I don't think it would work, but I think there's something to work with. I don't trust the intelligence of the common person, of most people, for this to work. But I like the idea of a system where it's not so like when you pay your taxes, you can somewhat decide where they go. Like, it's listed out.
Limited options.
Yeah. So like, you can't put all of your money into one thing. It's like, you ever done like a game, a video game or something where you have a character creator or something, and you have
Skill
like
trees.
Yeah, exactly.
Like
you have so many points to use. Where do you want to put them? And like, you can't put all of them into one place. There's certain things like infrastructure and shit that like we need, like that needs to be there. There's a certain amount that needs to be there, but you can choose to, if you want to, put more of your money in, if you see a cause or something that, you feel like needs more attention, or a public service that needs more attention, you can funnel more of your money into that.
It would be ranked choice taxation, which really truly would be voting with your dollar.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there's a reason historically people have not wanted that, but I think in some areas something like that could be very effective of showing what people actually care about.
Yeah, especially if, maybe it's just with local government or something, or your, maybe not even state, but like your city shit. Like, I see that being effective. I mean, you already see like some of the effects of that you see in like Florida, where they turn down, all of the, school budget shit. Like, they turn down all of those get voted down, like putting more money into the school system, because all the people that live there are old fucking grandparents, and all their grandkids and grandkids live up north. So you have the people who live down there, and they don't care about the school prices or the school budget. And if they do, right, they're such a minority that it doesn't even matter.
That sounds problematic for that, but it
is. It's because like the school systems are so fucked. I think I'm not sure of how much I've said of this on the podcast before, but I took the state like graduation test for a GED in Florida, and it was easier than the graduation test I took in the 10th grade in Ohio. There was no algebra on it at all. Like, it was really simple. I took the class beforehand, and they were like, you're supposed to do at least you're supposed to go there for 8 sessions. You can fast track it and do it in 6. I went to 2 and did all the paperwork, and the woman was like, you're ready to take the test. If you just come in next time, you don't have to even stay for the 3rd thing. Like, just come in and sign the thing, and then you're good.
Damn.
And I was like, okay, that's fucked. I mean, good for me, but that's kind of fucked.
Yeah, bad for the state.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Here's the other one. When you get your GED in Florida, and I forget if it was a situation where it was like you get a high enough grade, or if like you get your GED period, you get a high school diploma. You get a piece of paper that says high school diploma.
And one Percocet 5. Good luck with your future.
Here's your high school diploma. Here's your opiate addiction. Good luck. and a pack of red Newports.
You shouldn't be taking the money. There are a lot of programs in this country that we all pay for that we don't get a direct benefit from. Food stamps is one of them.
Shame on you, Stephen.
Fortunately, in my life, ever had me or my family on food stamps. But I'm glad it's there so that no one in this country goes to bed hungry at night if they have availability to that program. But I don't get a direct benefit. The fact is, on Social Security...
You ever been on the government cheese?
No, actually, I found out for a while after I moved up here, I could have.
Yeah.
And I'm glad I didn't take it because I didn't need it. I was fine.
70, what would the age be?
No, look, that's going to be a part of a negotiation with Congress, Kirsten. And hell, I'm not going to.
I say if you need it, take every penny.
Yeah, I think that's fair. That's like I didn't need it though. That was the thing. Sure. Is like I was fine and happy. I mean, I worked at a restaurant, so I ate at a restaurant most of the time. But
a lot of people are too prideful for it when it really would dramatically help their situation.
Yeah, that's crazy. Take the fucking money. That's what it's there for. That's what I pay my taxes for.
Exactly.
Trump joining Biden and Pelosi saying they're not going to change or do any sort of entitlement reform. What we need to do is keep our promises. Those that have been promised should keep it.
It's a nice thing when you're homeless on paper, you get a lot of benefits.
Interesting.
Retirement age for them. Instead of cost of living increases, we should go to increases based on inflation. We should limit benefits on the wealthy. Bernie Marcus can tell you he hates getting that check. Limit the benefits on the wealthy and then expand Medicare Advantage plans. Seniors love that. And let's make sure we do that so that they can have more competition. That's how we'll deal with entitlement reform, and that's how we'll start to pay down this debt.
And can you give me a specific age? Have you determined
Take care of the old fucks.
I feel like that's just like a given, right? Like it's just no one wants to pay for it, but
it doesn't do that now.
All right, Mr. Ramaswamy, have you determined if you would touch entitlements and Social Security? What, if any, reforms are you looking at?
So this is really important right now. We're working within the last window I believe we will have to actually fix this problem while still leaving Social Security and Medicare benefits for current seniors intact. I'll tell you how. The other candidates assume, like Nikki, that it can't be done. And on her math, she's right about it. But her math assumes $7 trillion of our $33 trillion national debt going to fight wars like in places like Iraq and Afghanistan. Minus that, our national debt would be $26 trillion right now. Then you go to zero-based budgeting, which I've proposed as a CEO. It's how I've run businesses. It's how many CEOs run businesses. Don't use last year's budget as the baseline. Start with zero as the baseline.
This is just going to be nonsense, right?
Mm-hmm.
He's just disappearing trillions of dollars of debt by saying it.
Yeah.
It's a great plan.
Someone pull out a whiteboard, give him a marker, show your work.
Get to 3, 4, maybe even 5% GDP growth if we really take the regulatory shackles off of our economy. And against that backdrop, I believe this is our last best window to be able to take care of our national debt problem through those
there's nothing,
including sacrificing the foreign wars that many bloodthirsty members of both parties have a hunger for. That's the one secret for
Tim's over here taking notes.
That requires discipline. So we can't have the first conversation we were having sending foreign aid willy-nilly to countries whose national debt per capita is less than ours.
Thank you,
But if we
Mr.
do this
Ramaswamy.
correctly, I think this is our last window, and it'll take a CEO from the next generation to do it.
Thank you very much. Senator Scott, weigh in here. What are you looking at to
They
keep
really,
Social
you know,
sustainable?
I mean, it shows. They don't give Tim a lot of screen time.
No one likes it.
Let me just say to my mama.
Even Tim doesn't like it.
God damn it.
I wouldn't vote for me either.
He wakes up every day, puts on his suit, walks into the bathroom and looks in the mirror and goes, fuck.
$750 billion on Medicare, about $300 billion on Medicaid, about $400 billion on veterans benefits, $1.7 trillion on annual appropriations. If we're going to actually...
I just want to point this out because I didn't have this earlier. Vivek wants to potentially get rid of, he claimed at one point, up to 75% of the federal workforce, including the FBI and a list of 10 other agencies completely dismantled. He's just insane.
Yeah, that's absolutely fucking bonkers.
It's cartoonish.
Yeah.
It's literally the, like, Bitcoin future of, like, we don't even need federal agents. We don't even need the government. Like, I'm running for president and I want to get rid of the federal government.
Yeah. That's, you know, he's out here saying defund the police, you know? And, I don't think he understands. First of all, most of the base is not for it. Most of his base is not there with him.
That's not true.
Well, so they're against defunding the Department of Justice because they're going after Trump.
It's not just that. The mega crowd has become anti-establishment. Like, modern Republicans have become so anti-big government. A lot of these people want to get rid of the FBI, want to get rid of the federal government to any extent they can. Like, it's almost to the point of, like, law and order is not non-priority. It's like pure anti-establishment behavior. I don't even know how to describe it. It's like the Republican Party has completely changed in the last 5 to 10 years.
Full anarcho-Republican?
Truly. I mean, even though he has a small percentage of the vote, like, he's filling a gap in what people want. Like, these are the candidates Republicans want. Like, this is the spectrum of, like, crazy right now. And it's like they can't get their daddy that they really want, Trump, but they're getting all the little pieces of Trump's crazy through this spectrum of fucking wackos.
If we're going to actually tame this tiger, the way you do it is not by picking on seniors who have paid into a program that deserve their money coming back.
He's tamed tigers before. He knows.
It is, number one, you have to grow your economy. My plan, Made in America, creates 10 million new jobs, grows our economy at 5%. By doing so, you add trillions of dollars of economic activity.
See, it's a pyramid scheme. We have to get bigger or it'll never work.
When we cut taxes in 2017, I wrote the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act. Everybody said, well, guess what? Revenue will go down. Well, in 2018, after we wrote it in 2017, what happened? Revenue went up by 3%, and the next year it went up by another 3%. So what we know is that the Laffer curve still works, but the lower the tax, the higher the revenue. And finally, if we're going to deal with it, we have to take our annual appropriations back to pre-2020, pre-COVID levels of spending, which would save us about $500 billion in the next budget window. By doing that, we deal with Social Security and our...
But these are just imaginary numbers.
Yeah.
Like, it's not... When they talk about these plans, they don't even have to meet them. It's not like they agree to their federal budget before their presidency and have to stick to it. It's just like whatever the fuck they want to do.
Yes or no? The answer is no, but
whatever they can convince
before you go on.
the American leadership to go with.
The more physical your labor, a year or 2 or 3 more is actually challenging to the physical body. You and I might have a different perspective, but for those farmers, they're working night and day.
Thank you, Senator. I appreciate it.
Shut the fuck up, Tim.
Would you be open to raising the retirement age, and how would you keep Social Security
He got real excited. He wanted to talk about farmers for a minute.
Yeah. A few people on Social Security, and I know it's important. My grandmother lived till 91.
And then I skinned her alive. They kept her living another 5 years.
She stopped eating one day, so we force-fed her.
I understand what you're going through with the rising prices, and you need that Social Security check. So we'll make sure to get that done.
Yeah, you get
that done. What can you
right.
do to help shore up Social Security? One of the things that's causing problems is the inflation. We have to reduce inflation. When you have higher inflation, the seniors get a cost of living adjustment, which means the program's spending more.
Bro, his head is wild. It's just bobbing all around. It's like if you just pictured him on a bobsled. That's what his head is doing.
He's off balance, man. He's got them heels on. He's not fully used to him yet.
He's literally shaking in his boots.
Hey, man, you know, give him a minute. Give him some time to adjust to the heels.
He doses himself with GHB before every debate. It's like, let's see how it goes tonight. It's like wobbling, like, oh, keep it together, Ron.
This is going to kick in about an hour. I got to be ready.
So, Governor, yes or no? Would you raise it? Would you raise the retirement age?
When life expectancy is declining,
answer the question,
Ron. Raise it the other direction.
Little weasel elf.
To peg it on life expectancy, but we have had a significant decline in life expectancy in this country,
so
and that's just the fact.
Didn't answer.
Right.
Yeah.
Good job. How many dodges has he had? It's like he thinks he's playing dodgeball. Oh, is that a question? Dodge, dodge, dodge.
I mean, his head was moving around like he was.
He thinks he's Neo in the Matrix. His head's just bobbing through the bullets.
Yeah, I think I would pay a significant amount of money to watch The Matrix just
starring
redone. Starring Ron DeSantis. Just to see him in the black trench coat and glasses.
Thank you, Lester. When NBC News talks to voters, when I talk to voters every day, they all say that the border is a top issue. It can mean a lot of different things. It can mean 2 million people who crossed illegally last year. It can mean more than 150 arrests of people on the terror watch list. It can mean the burden on states from having migrants move into their states from the southwestern border. But I want to talk about opioids specifically and fentanyl.
My dude got the Michael Jackson nose job.
Stantler and Waldorf over here.
Suffered a death to fentanyl. Young people sometimes die taking one pill.
Get your tolerance up, noob. Wouldn't fucking die so easy, fucking weakling.
Fucking intolerant to life.
You can't even take a hit of fentanyl? Fucking bitch.
I'm life intolerant. I can't do it anymore. If I ever kill myself, that's what I'm putting on my death note.
I hate listening to them pretend to care to pretend they care about drug deaths. It's for the last 20 years they've mocked this issue.
Yeah.
And then to be like, oh, a suburban kid died from one pill they didn't know was fentanyl.
Mm-hmm.
Shut the fuck up.
The military-grade technology is a backup, making sure that we not only stop 70,000 deaths.
How does he talk that slow?
The kids, the children of Republican voters can't get actual coke anymore, and they're getting fentanyl, and that's why it's an issue now.
Thing is no one can get coke anymore.
Well, yeah, and if no one can get it, then they definitely can't get it. If they can't get it, then it's a big problem.
The problem is quality control.
Yeah.
Like we have a serious worldwide drug problem, but it's not the problem they think it is.
We need to be growing coca leaves.
Absolutely.
A lot of jobs they can put together in Florida.
Yeah, absolutely.
Governor Christie, Senator Scott just mentioned ports of entry. 90% of the fentanyl that is seized in the United States is seized.
90% of all the fentanyl gathered is very yummy. Chris Christie. The latest data says we have the yummiest fentanyl. What do you think of that, Chris Christie?
The first way is exactly as you said.
Every morning he dips his donut in a powdered fentanyl. Gets to work.
I would invest in that as president. We need to make sure that law enforcement has every tool at its disposal to do it. Secondly, on day one, I would sign an executive order that would send the National Guard to partner with Customs and Border Patrol, both at ports of entry and at the
we were just making our own coke in Florida. We wouldn't have to worry about imports. Imagine if we farmed coca leaves in Florida and made it we decriminalized the use of like unprocessed coca leaves as, a recreational or medicinal, like whatever, you could fucking grow it in your backyard, whatever. how much of a difference do you think that would actually make in the rampant drug problem in Florida?
Over 20 years, it would make a big difference, but it wouldn't change anything anytime soon.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
You got people that are already using shit, and they're going to keep using the shit. But if
the supply is so much higher than we can reasonably produce by growing it ourselves, unless it's commercialized.
It's going to be like Cincinnati breweries in like the early 1900s. Yeah. It was like they produce more beer than the entire country, but it doesn't leave the 30-mile radius of Cincinnati or some shit.
Well, yeah, Coca-Colas especially are very expensive, and just the price of real estate for Florida would make it difficult. Or
turn Disney World into a fucking Coke plant and just.
Well, first, I was speaking to a dad who lost a son to fentanyl overdose.
He's got another story.
Son wasn't a drug
another
addict.
Stupid
he had taken
story.
Some pill
Everything
that happened to be laced with fentanyl, and it was a fatal overdose. And
yeah.
he told me, obviously, the pain of losing a child is as bad as it gets. But he said, what was salt in the wounds
was the salt.
He did bath salts too, and that was the real salt in the wounds.
After he died, they were just rubbing bath salt in the wounds. I don't know what.
We need to. We're declaring it a national emergency on day one. I'm sending U.S. military to the border. I'm going to stop the invasion cold. I am going to deport people who came illegally. And I'm even going to build the border wall and have Mexico pay for it, like Donald Trump.
Going to start a war with Mexico.
Yeah, Mexico's not going to fork over money. We're going to impose fees on the remittances that foreign workers send to foreign countries. We'll raise billions of dollars. I'll build a wall.
He's desperate. He's so desperate to bring this up. Like,
yeah, he was like, I got something against Trump. I'm gonna.
We're gonna have maritime operations to interdict precursor chemicals going into Mexico.
He wouldn't be bringing this up unless he needed it.
Mm-hmm.
But I'll tell you this: if someone in the drug cartels is sneaking fentanyl across the border when I'm president, that's going to be the last thing they do. We're going to shoot them stone cold dead.
Nice.
Ambassador Haley.
So, how many threats of violence killing people do you think we?
They search him, they find fentanyl, and they call Ron DeSantis, and Ron DeSantis comes down to the border with a fucking revolver in hand and assassinates this man.
Notice to the Mexican allies to our south. What would your colleagues at the United Nations think about that?
I don't care what my colleagues at the United Nations think. What I'll tell you is, first of all, you have to go to the source.
I don't care what the UN thinks. I want war.
Afghanistan and Iraq wars combined. We lost 75,000 Americans last year. Go to the source. It is the reason why we'll continue to say we will end all normal trade relations with China until they stop murdering Americans.
Yeah, we don't need our biggest trade partner anyway, Nick.
Yeah, we don't need
a diplomatic solution definitely would not help this.
Yeah, exactly.
And take them out. We'll put 25,000 more Border Patrol and ICE agents on the ground and let them do their job. We will defund sanctuary cities. We will go back to the
only trading I want to do with China is these nukes. Thanks, Haley. You can catch these hands, China. Beat the brakes off you, China.
Oh, god damn it.
It is something that is
He's fucking blood hungry.
Dude, they're just like have to up each other's bloodlust every round. It's so funny.
We owe it to them to treat it like the cancer that it is.
Mr. Ramaswamy.
Oh, we're calling him cancer too.
Special forces in Mexico shoot them stone cold dead at the border.
One thing I just want to say, how we're talking.
No, Vivek, are you gonna also shoot immigrants at the border?
To murder people? He's like, I got the vest in my car right now. I got a vest and a gun and a hat, and I'm ready to go. I'm leaving this building right now. After this debate, I'm going straight down to the border.
Poisoning. If you put that fentanyl in a Big Mac, we would not call that an overdose. You'd call it what it is. It's closer to bioterrorism.
A good-ass hamburger.
As it relates to this crisis, that does
a Fetty burger, if you will. Can I get a Fetty burger with cheese, please?
A Fetty Mac.
Can I get a Fetty Mac with fries? Kill the immigrants on the side.
Blood of the Mexicans on the side, please. Thank you.
military to seal our own southern border. What we need to do is stop using our military to protect somebody else's.
Now, keep in mind, this is his answer to the question of if he would kill immigrants at the
border. And then the other thing that hasn't been discussed is the northern border. I'm the only candidate on the stage, as far as I'm aware, who has actually visited the northern border. There was enough fentanyl that was captured just on the northern border.
It's like we don't need to just kill Mexicans. We can kill
There's a whole other country full of people to kill up here.
Not just where the puck is. Don't just build the wall, build both walls. Can't just complete the wall, use the military to seal the Swiss cheese.
Trump says build the wall, can't build it. DeSantis is like, I'm going to build it and make Mexico pay for it. And Vivek says, we need to build both walls.
To fucking close off America like Escape from New York. And
total isolationist.
Full prison state.
Oh, God. So fucking funny, dude.
Abortion rights supporters saw victories in Ohio and Virginia following earlier wins in states like Kansas and Kentucky. Governor DeSantis, first to you, how do you see the path forward for Republicans on this issue?
Well, I stand for a culture of life, and I understand that it's important that everyone gets a shot.
A culture of life?
Yes, they're going to go down there and shoot people.
40 years ago, 45 years ago, she was counseled to not have a baby because she was poor, baby wouldn't have
oh, God damn.
Such a liar. Oh,
the fucking the whiplash.
It's like the ultimate irony of an answer. Oh, God.
2 minutes ago, Ron, you just said you were going to shoot people.
Becoming a lawyer and a judge, I appointed her to the Florida Supreme Court in August of 2022.
Ron, I don't know if you know this, but shooting people kills them.
We're better off when we can promote a culture of life. At the same time, I understand that some of these states are doing it a little bit different. Texas is not going to do it the same as New Hampshire. Iowa's not necessarily going to do it the same as Virginia. So you got to work from the bottom up. You got to do a better job on these referenda. I think of all the stuff that's happened to the pro-life cause, they have been caught flat-footed on these referenda, and they have been losing the referenda. A lot of the people who are voting for the referenda are Republicans who would vote for a Republican candidate. So you got to understand how to do that. But let's just be clear. The Democrats have taken a position. They will not identify the point at which there should be any protection all the way up until birth. That is wrong, and we cannot stand for that.
All right, Governor DeSantis, thank you. Ambassador Haley, let me have you weigh in. Former President Trump has consistently blamed the abortion issue and how Republican candidates have talked about it for their electoral losses. How do you see the path forward?
I love it when kids are raised by parents who are forced to do it because if not, they would go to jail.
I'm unapologetically pro-life, not because the
fined.
Republican Party tells me to be, but because my husband Michael was adopted, and I had trouble having both of my children.
Because God hated me.
Having said that, when you look post-Roe, a wrong was made right. They took it out of the hands of unelected justices and they put it in the hands of the people. And now we're seeing states vote. And what I'll tell you is, as much as I'm pro-life, I don't judge anyone for being pro-choice, and I don't want them to judge me for being pro-life. So when we're
too bad,
just like the when you go to a church, they're like, we take everybody in here. You can I appreciate your opinion. I still think you're going to burn in hell.
I don't judge you for being a godless heathen, so you better not fucking judge me.
Exactly.
Senate votes, a majority of the House, and a president to sign it. So no, we haven't had 60 Senate votes in over 100 years. We might have 45 pro-life senators. So no Republican president can ban abortion.
That's because we've been aborting off Republican babies.
Let's find consensus.
Our plans work.
On how we can ban late-term abortions. Let's make sure we encourage adoptions and good quality adoptions. Let's make sure we make contraception accessible.
I'm going to give my hard take. I've solidified this.
Mm-hmm.
I've been listening to more and more legitimate modern antinatalist theory, and I truly think having a child is unethical. Like I truly feel like you have to adopt.
I think especially in what you don't see like ever is, I think I might have seen one advertisement in my entire life, one thing that was like, consider adoption. I think if anything, it's crazy how much we don't push that, how much we don't like, hey, there's a lot of fucking kids that need parents. There's a lot of fucking kids out here that need someone to to fucking show that they love them. Does anybody want to?
It spiked higher than ever before. My understanding, I may be getting this mixed up, but it spiked crazy high with COVID too.
I believe that.
Excuse me.
People were adopting puppies. They were adopting kids.
I don't know about that. But I've been kind of playing around with writing a little bit about anti-natalism. I sent you that podcast with Sam Harris, and it was with I'm blanking on his name, but he wrote the most current theory that repopularized it. And I truly, I feel like it's, there's no way to defend against this.
Mm-hmm.
To not exist is neither good nor bad. Correct? Like it just...
Yeah. Yeah.
But to exist, even if your life is good, includes suffering. Suffering is thought to be something avoided, not inherently, but suffering is bad. So even if like a lot of people's lives are good, creating more life guarantees suffering. And to never have been born is always better than to have created or to have suffered. Like there's no way to philosophically argue that existing is better than not existing. Now you have to like separate that from thinking like, oh, all life is bad.
Right.
We should all kill ourselves. That's not the point of the argument. Like to exist, you should be making a contract with yourself that you should exist as long as you feel that the value of existing is better than the amount of suffering you have. And then if that changes, you reevaluate. But there's no way I can make the decision for a human being, a child that doesn't exist, to guarantee them suffering, while I also have the choice to not bring them into existence and guarantee that they don't suffer.
The best you could do is make the educated choice, or make the educated decision that you have a type of stability, or you offer a type of environment where
that's not enough.
I'm saying it's the best you can do. You're offering you have an environment or something to offer that could potentially reduce suffering.
Sure.
That's the best you could possibly. I'm agreeing with you. I'm agreeing with you.
No, I want pushback on this too, because I've been listening to a lot of people argue it, and even someone like Sam Harris was having a lot of trouble offering pushback. Like the only argument you could have is that the amount of joy, fulfillment, purpose, pleasure in life will overshadow the suffering, but you can't guarantee that.
Yeah.
So at the very least, you're playing odds with the suffering of a being that doesn't exist.
Yeah, that's the one of the first thoughts that came to my head is like you're gambling on certain things. You're chancing that, because it's also the joy outweighing the suffering kind of thing. Like the experiencing joy is a perception thing. Experiencing things is a perception thing. So you're gambling that their perception will perceive what you have offered to them, what you think would be joy. You're gambling that they will also see it that way. Like when, you have a kid and you raise them to be a devout follower in this religion that you believe in, and then they realize that it fucking sucks, and there's suffering that comes from this thing that you offered them.
Absolutely. And I don't want to pass my problems on to anyone else. Like that, there would be such a burden of guilt or responsibility in that. I think it would be better off to try your best and fail an orphan than it would be to succeed with your own child. I don't know, I've become very... And it's one of those things, I can't judge people that have kids that harshly because I think it just comes off incredibly cruel.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a decision I think, at least for myself, I think is like... I really think it's a bad thing. You know, I was watching a video of some orangutan babies. It was like a documentary on how chimps use tools. And if you look at a 2-year-old orangutan versus a 2-year-old toddler, they are literally the same thing. Except that if anything, the orangutan is at the very least as equally developed mentally,
mm-hmm.
but far superior physically.
Yes.
Like, I feel like our views on what conscious existence is just so out of whack. And to take ownership or control of that for someone else, it's dark.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't want to be a child slave master.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just, I know part of that might just be like a fragility or whatever too in myself or whatever, but I don't know. It feels like a unbearable thing to do.
Here's the other one is like, I don't know. I guess I know some people do have the drive, have a want to have kids, and I realize I don't really have that. It's not that I don't have the drive to teach and, you know, raise kids. Like, adopting is definitely on the table for me. Or, you know, at the very least, like, as I'm like looking,
stealing someone else's job.
Yeah, just like taking them right out of the stroller. The meeting is, I'm like, you know, looking at like dating apps and shit. It's like, I'm absolutely not opposed to meeting, you know, a woman that has kids already. Like, that's absolutely a thing. Like, I think a few years ago that I wouldn't have been ready for it, but like, I'm at a point in my life now where like, that's absolutely not a problem at all. I feel like that could be.
Depends on how annoying the kid is.
Exactly. It depends on the kids. Depends on her. Depends on the kids. You know, maybe the kids suck, you know? Do I have to be cool with the baby daddy? Who knows? But I don't know. There's I think exactly where I was going with that. There's so many people, the drive to have kids. I feel like, I wonder how much of that is like, they feel it because they think they have a drive to have kids because they feel like they should, or there are plenty of people out there that are like, that's their plan. And I don't know if that's their plan because that's what everyone else does, or if that's their plan because they really feel the need within them to, this is what I want to do. This is what I think I'm, you know, like, you hear people all the time, like, the best thing I ever did was become a parent. And it's like, what does that mean? Like, I don't want to say that everyone who says that is wrong, but like, is that really I don't know, is that what you saw your destiny being? Is that the best thing that you're going to do with your life is become a parent? Is that the best way for you to expend, you know, to provide, you know, give back to the world? I don't know.
There's this weird trick humans do where after something happens to you, you're not the same person you were before it happened.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, let's say you have a relatively non-addictive personality, and you have this scheme of, like, I want to, you know, try everything once in my life. So,
yeah,
each year on my birthday, I'm going to try a new drug. And you get to 30 years old and this is the year you do your first opiate or whatever, something that has like more addictive qualities, and for whatever reason it lines up with your brain chemistry, and you're like, hey, that was amazing, but I know I'm never going to do this again. The thing is you're not the same person you were before. Like each thing we do, and this is almost counter to my argument 2 weeks ago, but each thing we do shapes a little bit of that surface stuff. And I think kids are just such a big step that truly are like fulfilling, and something that you have to be at the very least hopeful about existence, or else you truly would be being irresponsible to bring that kid into life. You have to at least have some hope that you can provide a good life and that you want them to be happy and that life's worth living. So if you have all of those things in line, and then you have the kid, and it is fulfilling, after that, there's no way you can ever truly regret it, even if everything else goes wrong after. I think it's like such a transformative thing that even if it wasn't meant to be what you wanted or needed, you end up not regretting it. But I don't think that's a good enough reason.
There's that cognitive dissonance thing too, you know.
I'm just making it. Yeah, I'm making it my life goal to convince as many people to avoid creating life as possible. You know, I can't get away with killing things, so I at least need to convince people, manipulate, you know, people not to make life.
Except Keith, because all his babies are cool and smart.
Much love, Keith. That's what I was saying. It's weird because like there's so many people I love and respect with kids, but I truly, even when I talk to them about it, I truly cannot understand. But I'm glad it makes them happy. I don't understand it.
I was just talking to a coworker about this actually the other day, and it came up like it's like, do you like not like kids? And I was like, no, I like kids. Like kids are usually cool. Like, you know, I like, you know, there's the creativeness in it. You know, there's
curiosity.
My coworker has, you know, kids that she brings in on Saturday, and you know, it's cool to talk to them and just be like, you know, like what are they doing in school and shit, and like they're fucking
how's
so
life
excited.
For your dumb, stupid brain.
Yeah, it's like the one was really excited that they, you know, knew, like, you know, they're really young, and they're like they knew what year it was and what year it was going to be for New Year's, and it was like, it was cute, you know, and they're just talking about their new hair tie thing, and you're like, oh, you know, the things you get excited about when you don't gotta fucking go to work every goddamn day, you know. It's beautiful. It's a really cool thing. It's fun interactions to have with my nieces and nephews.
See, I already know you're going to end up having kids, and you're going to love it.
I mean, it would take a lot. There's so much would have to change in my life, especially like financially. I definitely am not in a financial position to have a child.
That's the big hang up of our generation.
It's like,
it's the house and the kids. It's like, it becomes so unattainable that many people our age have just decided that's not even a possibility because it hasn't been a practical one for a lot of people.
Now, if I can adopt a kid that's already past the like, I need diapers stage and shit, you know, like maybe we can consider something there. Or,
see, if you get a poor
adopt
orphan,
a teenager that's old enough to get a work permit and fucking pay their own rent, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. And then pay a little bit of yours. Or you get an orphan that's already so accustomed to poverty that they won't mind going without.
Yeah, just to give them rags and some, you know, some old rotten vegetables. And
a bar of soap on each birthday, and they have to make it last till next year. It'll be easy peasy.
Meanwhile, with my many...
Please, sir, may I have
my many
some more?
locally bought soaps and conditioners and shit. Just... God damn it. That's some shit I spend money on is soap.
I've never bought soap once in my life.
Let's make sure that none of these state laws put a woman in jail or give her the death penalty for getting an abortion. Let's focus on how to save as many babies as we can and support as many moms as we can. And stop the judgment. We don't need to divide America over this issue anymore.
Thank you.
Sorry, I forgot where we left off.
You know, we do need to divide America over this issue because you're a fucking idiot.
Because you fucking suck.
Haley just said, do you see this as a consensus issue?
He's looking at a cow in the back of the room. Do you see him wink to it?
Everyone gets a +1.
15-week national limit. I would not allow states like California, Illinois, or New York to have abortion up until the day of birth.
He'd make it illegal to bottle milk so he could just suck it straight from the udder.
Former Democratic governor of Virginia who talked about infanticide.
Yes, legalize infanticide.
15-week federal limit. 3 out of 4.
You know what's interesting to me is we came into this debate and I hadn't seen Tim fucking anywhere. I think I've seen a picture of this man maybe on the news or something. I've never listened to this man speak. I had no idea about this man, and you would just in a few words convince me that he's not even worth paying attention to. And I keep trying to think, well, maybe I'll give him a little bit of time, and I can't.
He's the whole reason we're here today.
Every time he opens his mouth, I'm like, oh my God. Fucking Tim. Shut up, Tim.
I'd go step further. In my parents' plan, we start by talking about funding, block granting resources to crisis pregnancy centers. We should support adoption. There are a number of ways that we can say
they're just phonies. It's just lies.
That we stand with you. We should not only be pro-life before the child is born, we should be pro-life after the child is born just as much.
Senator Scott, thank you. Ambassador Haley, your name was invoked.
That's really
would
cool
you
to
support
say.
A 15-week federal limit?
I would support anything that would pass because that's what would save more babies and support more moms. But do you have to be honest with the American people? And I appreciate that Tim
I'll save the
keeps
most
calling
babies.
me out for this.
No,
but
I
Tim,
will.
there was a bill last year. Lindsey Graham sponsored it. You didn't even co-sponsor the bill. And then when you first were interviewed on this, when you ran, you wouldn't even say you were for 15 weeks. What I'm saying to the American people is, let's see what we can agree on.
15 weeks is so ridiculous.
Yeah, it's fucking crazy.
How about 15 weeks after birth?
Yeah.
That you're going to push something on them when we don't even have the votes in the Senate. It's important that we're honest about that.
Let me go to Mr. Ramaswamy. Would you support a 15-week federal ban? And
Look at Tim raising his hand. Mr.
I
Moderator.
think Nikki Haley did invoke being honest, and I just want to give credit to Tim Scott. He's honest about where he stood, and I think you should be honest, not making.
And that is in cow poop, ladies and gentlemen.
He did step in cow poop. It is on the chute right now. He did not take it off before he got into the debate room.
It was my home state of Ohio. I'm upset about this yesterday. That passed a constitutional amendment that now effectively
based amendment. Yeah. It's called a basement.
Oh, fucking shit. Oh, fuck.
I'm getting very tired.
It's been a long watch here.
In an era of reliable genetic paternity tests that are 100% reliable. So we can say men deserve more responsibility. So we can tell women we're all in this together.
He turned it into a men's right issue.
Oh, boy.
It's not men's rights versus women's rights. It's about human rights. And I've come back to that case that Clarence Thomas spoke of.
Well, if the child, should the man even have custody?
Oh, fucking shit. At the cup.
You won't find one.
Ooh. God damn.
Yeah, it sounds more like the woman's right.
Oh, shit.
I mean, I didn't make it up.
We need to get you up on this stage, Steve. Or at least in the moderator's chair.
I would love to pretend to be a Republican. Just say the craziest shit.
Oh, you need to put all your lip piercings back in place.
Constitutional right out of thin air that didn't exist. And now we have people running to say, let's short circuit the states from doing what they need to do, and let's go right to some type of federal ban at a certain number of weeks. And
Big Boy Sugar is crashing right now. He's lost all his pep.
6. Look,
you talk about
the
yourself.
Founders were really smart. And this is an issue that should be decided in each state. And
that might be kind of fun to see you like put, you can't do it on your arm anymore. I was going to say put like, foundation or conceal or something on your arm to cover up all your tattoos and like go into a place and pretend to be a, I
would have so much fun.
A well-cut young man just looking to make a change.
America first, baby.
But here's the bigger issue.
This is you in a suit with a MAGA hat on. It's not a suit, it's the t-shirt with the suit printed on it.
We're not pro-life for the whole life. To be pro-life for the whole life means that the life of a 16-year-old drug addict on the floor of the county lockup is precious, and we should get treatment for her to restore her life. The 52-year-old who's drug addicted should make sure that any of his children who he's passed that addiction on to are treated well too. Pro-life's not just in the womb, Kirsten. It's for the whole life.
I believe I read some sort of news. I believe he has addiction issues in his family. Because he's been like soft to the issue for a while. I don't know if that's true or not, but that was a great answer. Like there's not many people that are willing to say that.
Well, welcome back, everyone. With only 2 hours for a debate, we know there are other major issues that are important to Republican primary voters. I'll ask you each to please use your closing statement to focus on any topic you didn't have time to address and why you and not former President Trump
boy, here it
would be the
goes.
party's best choice.
Final closing statements, ladies and gentlemen.
You each have a minute. Senator Scott, we'll start with you. 1 minute.
There's a crisis that is growing in our nation, and that crisis is cultural and spiritual. We need a renewal, a great awakening. We should reject the left's valueless, faithless, fatherless society. We should turn back to faith, patriotism,
he said
and
it.
Individual
gash in the wrist.
Yep.
We should stop choosing victimhood and start choosing victory. We should stop kneeling in protest and start kneeling in prayer. There are basic truths that built this country.
I just severed my entire left hand off.
If you take out a loan, you pay it back. If you commit a violent crime, you go to jail. And if God made you a man, you play sports against men. I do not just want to...
Wow, what a hard swing.
I do not just want to win the battle against Joe Biden. I want us together to
He doesn't want to win the battle against Joe Biden. He wants to win the goddamn Super Bowl. He's fucking ready for it. If you're a man, you play sports like a man. And you stand when you pee, and you stand when you poop, too. Fuck it.
Tonight, listen, it's a gift to be an American. And I'm running for president of the United States because I'm tired. I'm tired of seeing the division. I'm tired of seeing the anger.
He does look kind of tired. He's ready for it.
They're exhausted.
Hypoglycemic.
Man, I'm tired too. I'm tired too, Chris.
I wish we could just take a nap and cuddle with Chris.
Yes.
He looks like he'd be a good cuddler.
We need to start marketing Chris Christie body pillows. Full life-size Chris Christie body pillows. Full waifu style. Chris Christie waifu pillows. God damn it.
Our strength as a country, not our weakness. But you can't truly say you love America unless you're ready to open up your heart to every American. I'm going to open up my heart to every American as president, and I will make sure that I return.
I have an open bypass next week.
To the Oval Office. We deserve and should accept nothing less.
Governor, thank you very much. Let's go to
Mr. I feel like I believe him more than I believe anybody else on that stage.
He's good faith, genuine, grade A.
But we're in the middle of a war right here.
For a Republican.
Yeah, for a Republican.
Black and white or Democrat and Republican. It's between those of us who believe in our founding ideals and love this country and a fringe minority who hates the United States of America. And I think it's going to take a commander-in-chief to lead us to victory in that war. Who first
we need the big, strong man.
He's on the war against other Americans.
I'm doing the 11 points of fascism bingo over here.
I'll shut down the deep state I'll declare economic independence from China. I'll keep us out of World War III, and then revive national pride in this country. I also want to close with one message to the Democrat Party. End this farce that Joe Biden is going to be your nominee. We know he's not even the president of the United States. He's a puppet for the managerial class. So have the guts to step up and be honest about who you're actually going to put up so we can have an honest debate. Biden should step aside, end his candidacy now, so we can see whether it's Newsom or Michelle Obama or whoever else.
All right,
just tell us the truth so we can have an honest debate.
Time is up for that.
So we have unwavering national pride, belief in one strong man that is the only one capable of saving us. The strong man saving us from consequences of not electing him, consequences such as world wars that he's the only one able to protect or prevent, and persecution of past political enemies. These are like classic strongman fascist dictatorship. Like this is tyranny. I hate him so much. I hate this.
He fucking sucks shit.
I just hate this thing. Anytime someone says, I'm the only one who can fix this problem, you know they are not going to fix the problem.
Here's maybe we will let the rest of the people have their say, but I'm curious if you had to live with a choice, and you can't take the I'm going to kill myself option. If you had to live with a choice of either Tim Scott or Vivek Ramaswamy being in office.
That's easy. I'd pick my boy Tim.
I think I'd pick Tim too, honestly.
Because he's not going to get anything done. I think I'd pick Tim. He's not going to get anything done.
I think his aspirations are a lot lower.
Yeah, exactly. Someone like Vivek is inherently much more dangerous because he's motivated to fuck shit up and has no idea what the solution is.
I think Tim would be like, I think there's a lot of problems in this country that I want to change. So we're going to pray on it. We're going to make a prayer circle.
Yeah, take an hour to pray, and then he'll get around to trying to read the paperwork. I mean, the thing is like, Tim is inherently dangerous too, but he's not as effective. And he's one of these people that believes bullshit, but he's probably like a nice guy. Like, he's probably kind of reasonable if you don't get him on a platform.
Are you talking about Tim?
Yeah, and he's probably kind of nice. You know what I mean?
I bet Tim would be a fun guy to go to a little breakfast diner with.
Yeah,
get some biscuits and gravy.
Absolutely. But it's the things he believes that makes him a piece of shit.
Yeah,
where Vivek's just poopy all the way through.
He's just he is hot diarrhea in your pants right now,
all day.
And you're an hour away from home.
Ambassador Haley, you have 1 minute for your closing.
Thank you. The world is on fire. We have a war in Europe. We've got a war in the Middle East. We've got China on the march. It is very important that we know how to defend our freedoms.
And I'm here with the lighter fluid to keep it down.
We have to know the difference between good and evil. We have to know the difference between right and wrong. We need to know that a strong America doesn't start wars. A strong America prevents wars. And the way we can focus on that is to make sure we go back to the soul of America and be strong and proud again. And we can't do that. We can't win the fights of the 21st century with politicians from the 20th century. We have to move forward, and we can do this. I know we can do this. So join our movement. Go to NikkiHaley.com, and we will once again show what America that's strong and proud.
She is definitely younger than a lot of the people in government. So
that's true.
Governor DeSantis, you're closing. You have 1 minute.
We must reverse our country's decline, and that is going to require leadership. I will take the hits.
He just swallowed his back molars there. Completely fractured apart.
I don't know. He had that kind of smile, like grimace smile on his face. I don't know.
Like a viper.
I am going to win for you and your family, and I'm going to lead this country's revival. As a veteran of the Iraq War and in the Navy, I will always put service above self as president. As
a man who has done violence, I will do violence.
I will do violence.
In better shape than we found it. And as the governor of Florida, I delivered on all my promises, and you can trust me to deliver for you as the president.
And you could take that to the bank.
I'll be a nominee that will be able to win the election.
I mean,
I will be a leader you can be proud of.
Ron DeSantis has some very strong Eric Kahn vibes. He is the hardest man on the stage for sure.
Oh yeah.
Honestly, between him and Nikki Haley is the second hardest man on the stage.
She might be the hardest.
She might be the hardest. I feel like Ron's got he will absolutely murder you. Nikki Haley might. He will. Ron DeSantis will choke you out.
She would definitely face fuck you unconsciously.
Yeah,
she might let you live.
Here at the Adrian Arsh Performing Arts Center, on behalf of the Republican
oh my God, is it
National
over?
Committee and all of us at NBC News. Good night,
God.
everyone. From
What did we talk about today? We talked about killing migrants, killing
drug dealers,
killing people in the Middle East. We talked
about 4 wars.
How TikTok's bad. And
this one dude kept talking about cows.
You know, he started to get on farmers for a minute, and they kind of cut him off there. It was kind of some horse shit, but
they had to pan away because he was getting a boner. Nikki Haley lit the stage on fire.
They saw the drool dripping from the corner of his mouth as he...
And Ron DeSantis peeled half his face off. Chris Christie ate a donut. Vivek traded some crypto. It was a hell of a night.
Oh, you know, I think he had a guy on it. He had one of his buddies backstage watching that for him. He's a professional.
He handed off the broker account for a couple hours. He gave him a temporary trading code. He didn't give him the full access to the account.
Yeah. God damn it.
Dude, that was a ride.
It really was. We did that to ourselves, though.
All right. So, final thoughts.
Fucking wow.
At the beginning of this, I mentioned I had a question I wanted people to keep in mind. And that question was, should the American people be allowed, able, whatever, should the American people be able to vote for a dictator if they wanted to?
Mm-hmm.
Now, as unfortunate as it is, it's very likely we have another Republican president in our lifetime.
Yeah.
Now, all these people on stage tonight are either incompetent, psycho, or stupid. But the man leading is a wannabe mob boss crime man.
Well put.
Now, he may or may not end up winning this upcoming election, but let's pretend we have Bizarro Trump, if he's not already bizarro enough. Let's say we have another version of Trump 5 years from now, and this man is as open about being a tyrant at the start of his candidacy as Trump has been following his.
Mm-hmm.
Someone that just straight up is like, I am the strong man. I am the only one with the solution. I will dismantle the Constitution. I will not obey the laws that are there today.
Mm-hmm.
I will do whatever it takes to put America first and do XYZ dumbass shit. And let's say as many people, if not more, than currently want Trump are willing to vote for this man. Trump primed it. We got lots of people that are desperate for, just like they are for God, they want a politician, Sky Daddy. They got big, strong guy to fulfill that. Trump may not be able to run because he's broken so many laws, and now the courts have to decide if he's even eligible. But in the future, if the American people want a dictator, should they be allowed to get it?
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that's a really relevant question.
It is.
Considering how politics is continuing to devolve today.
I think the thing that I think sucks the most about that question is how hard it is to answer.
You got to take in, yeah.
I feel it's difficult to draw that line. I think there's a way, the way to do it, and I don't disagree with the whole Colorado thing, how they operated that. I think it's fair. I mean, they wasn't going to get Colorado anyways, but even if I think if there is a pre-standing law, even if it's a state law that says that the actions that someone has taken disqualifies them from being president, that's then fair.
Which is what has been happening,
right,
to be fair.
Yeah.
But I want to, because those decisions are still going through the courts now, I want to ignore that as a possibility. I just want a straight up future dictator, honest about it. Should the American people be allowed to do that?
It kind of sucks because I want to say yeah.
I agree.
I feel like as much as I hate that and I don't want that to be a thing, it feels disingenuous to say, no, we should stop him, because then there's like, well, where do you draw the line? You're creating a line. You're deciding that a line needs to be drawn, and then the question is where. And I feel like that gets more complicated than it needs to be.
I think part of being free is choosing not to be free.
Mm-hmm.
And if the strong man can mislead the weak masses, then as much as I fucking hate that and would love to be the one throwing the rocks at him, I think that's what, as a people, we may end up deserving, because the state of things is just,
yeah,
our choices are becoming so pathetic. So here's where have you followed any of the Jan 6th case stuff? Because I'm like deep in.
A little bit.
So there's this debate right now in the politics sphere of if a president can unconsciously declassify documents, like without even thinking about it. Can the president of the free world psychically declassify documents?
And this is a debate?
Yes, a real debate among
what's the for argument?
The for argument is, just like Trump did all these nuclear secrets, bases, future attack plans, all these things that he divulged, even though the criminal intent is being actively proven, that he hid these files, he lied about hiding these files, the lawyers lied about it, the lawyers are cooperating because they lied about it, they moved multiple times, deleted security footage, multiple people involved in the conspiracy to hide these files. He even played with the idea of selling information to various people, all these things.
Mm-hmm.
Ignoring all of that, because he's the president, the argument is such that we A, can't limit his freedom of speech, and B, because a president should never be allowed to be charged with any crime, that it has to be assumed that under any circumstance, a president should be allowed to psychically declassify things, because if they were to make a mistake and divulge things, it would make them liable or subject to criminal prosecution, which a president should never even be allowed to have that happen, right? Like there's some reasons why if you decided a president was all powerful, a king, a god among men, and should never be allowed to break a law because they are the leader, then there could be some merit to psychic declassification.
If you're willing to go into faulty logic, that is
sure.
But
yes.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. Yeah.
But one of the big against is you can't declassify things when you're not the president. So the day after you're not the president, then it becomes a battle, a literal psychic warfare, because the current president can be like, no, I know psychically you did not declassify them. And then the president that just got out of power would be like, no, I totally psychically declassified it as I was leaving office. And then they're just staring at each other, doing a psychic blink off of who used what power when psychically.
This is fucking insane. This is some anime shit.
The debates are wild. It's very interesting. Even the scholar that wrote the Jan 6 coup theory has come out quite publicly since that he thought it was a garbage theory, but he was paid to help brainstorm. Essentially. But
whoever's under the impression that the president can do no wrong and can not be held to doing any wrong, I think they, like, at the core basis, don't understand what the president is.
No, and they have no self-respect.
Yeah.
None at all. To believe that someone, just because they're the leader of the country, has no responsibility to the law that they serve and to their constituents is disgusting. So here's where this ties in for me. So there's all these conversations of, well, if a president is convicted, can they run from prison? Can they be on an ankle monitor? Do they bring their FBI, Secret Service security to the prison? Do they just stay at their golf club for a year? All these dumb questions. I don't understand this idea that a leader can be above the law. I don't understand how we can say, just because the person is important, they are immune to the consequences of the laws they are vowed to protect. I don't understand how people are like, well, maybe if it's a conspiracy, maybe if it's a big enough charge, maybe they get in a little trouble. But if it's just like a DUI or jaywalking, they're the president. It would be too much of a inconvenience to the country, so we shouldn't charge them with minor things, only the big things.
Yeah, no. That's awful. That
is the average argument, that unless it's a massive charge, we don't charge a president. That's why no president has ever been charged criminally.
It's absolutely insane.
But I mean, it's what's happened.
I know. Yeah, I understand that, but I'm also saying that it's insane.
It is insane. So if people want a dictator, then that's what they can get. But that there are consequences to that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't understand. In any other scenario, the leader is held to a higher standard than anyone else. Why do we make these exceptions in politics?
Exactly. That's the thing that drives me wild. It's like how they're supposed to be the one in charge. Like when if you go to work and your boss fucks up and you're just like, okay, well, it's okay, he's the boss, and then you get fired the next day for doing the same, making the same fuck up. Like, how's that cool? Like, what's the, like, they taught, this is how they demonstrated how to do it. Like, no, they fucked up. Oh, well, they're the boss though. They're the manager. We can't fire them for that.
And here's the other big thing I want to touch on before we bounce. I don't feel like anyone, we are not super informed on, I'll at least speak for myself. I feel like I follow a lot of stuff, but I am anywhere near the realm of competent in international conflict, right?
Mm-hmm.
No one on that stage is anywhere near competent or informed enough to be making decisions about wars in these countries they're speaking about.
Absolutely not.
And I understand that the average politician isn't ever going to be that because you rely on your all your teams, all your different branches, all your people bringing you the information, presenting you the options to make the choices.
Yeah.
But you would expect a much higher level of competency in understanding these issues than really anyone on that stage showed about any issue.
And just a little bit more of a base level of diplomacy in general would be fantastic.
Conversing with people to come up with solutions, ideally that involve peace.
Yeah. Fucking absurd. It shows with like what, you know, the common Republican, like maybe not the common Republican. That's unfair to say. I don't think it's fully unfair to say, but it's not fair to say it based on the evidence that I have. Have you seen the video where there's a guy asking asking a Republican? He's like why? How would Trump end the issue in Ukraine? And he was like, if Trump was in power, you know, if Trump was in the Oval Office, he would tell Putin to stop it. And like, like if he just called Putin, that'd be enough to stop it. He's like, well, he knows that if Trump says to stop it, that he's got to stop it. And like, or else what? And he's like, well, you know, then we would have to go get him. We'd have to stop him. He's like, so you're saying that we should put more, you know, of our military out into the issue and like put our military involved. And he's like, no, I'm not saying that. He's like, so you're saying you want Trump to make, you know, an idle threat to bluff, to say, you know, he's going to do something even if he's not going to do anything about it. And he's like, no, because, you know, he would do it, you know. It's like, so what's the difference between him doing it and you know, anyone else doing it? And he's like, well, you know, he would just tell him and Putin would know. And it's like, that's not diplomacy. That's not, that's what you consider to be a diplomatic, you know, action or diplomatic intervention.
I mean, it can be, but not how he was.
No, exactly. If that's your flawed view of what is, you know, like interfering without interfering. Like, what are you doing?
Point the gun at him.
Yeah, exactly. Like, what's the...
Especially with all these years of the compromatic or whatever the fuck, all the exposure Trump has to the Russian banks and all the dick sucking he's done for Putin. It's just...
absolutely absurd.
What a joke. It's just... I don't know. When I talk to people like my parents, it's just so frustrating. It's just like the lack of curiosity or willingness to accept that you may have been duped a little.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
you know?
Yeah.
It's
hard. It sucks,
but it's not an excuse. You know.
Yeah.
That's the part that gets me. It's like, yeah, that does suck. To suck. But
it sucks to suck, but like, don't just, you know, double down sucking on it. Yeah. Like,
I suck so hard, I'll never stop sucking.
Damn, they tricked me into sucking. Now I can't stop.
Can't stop. Once you suck, you can't stop. America's just really sucking right now.
It's just, we just can't stop.
I'm so interested in all of this. I really don't know how much any of it matters. Mm-hmm. I just, I really hate people who are wrong. And
bold statement. Go ahead.
I feel like they deserve much more anger directed their way, much more destruction, and First,
they deserve education, and then once that,
do they?
Well, if they're wrong, the right thing to do is to try to educate, to inform, and then. I don't
know if I even agree.
Well, if someone's wrong, that's what you do, and if they continue to be wrong after that, then yeah, you get pissed. I'm not saying it's every person's individual responsibility to educate and inform, but I'm saying, if someone's saying something and being wrong about something, and then they learn that they are wrong and they change that, they change to being correct about something and they stop being wrong, that's not a bad thing. And I think that that's encourageable, but I think when you see the patterns of people being wrong and continue to be wrong, even after they're, being, exposed for being wrong, that's when you have a problem.
I theoretically agree, but I'm a big believer in consequence, and I feel like
they should still see consequence for their actions.
But being wrong, let's say you're wrong for 10 years and then you spend 2 years right. You're not absolved of the wrongness, and I don't think you deserve credit for the rightness. And I don't know if like the right productive answers, like, hey, you do want to educate, inform, whatever, make the change. I feel like that's someone else's job. Like, we all have different parts to play in it. Mm-hmm. My interest is purely in subtractive measures. And I feel like there's other people better suited for the build up, whatever. But I just truly want their suffering. I don't want them to be better.
I want to say, I think if you're wrong for 10 years and then right for 2, you get some credit for the being right for 2. Not a lot. It's a grain of salt, but you get some credit for being 2. We were just saying, it sucks to suck, but if you're sucking, why do you, and you suck, why do you keep on doing it? And to say that there's no winning for trying to not suck I think that's counterproductive. There has to be some kind of, you have to follow through and you have to show that you are continuing to be right. But if you continue to suck, that's worse. If you suck for 20 years, it's worse than sucking for 10 years and then not sucking for another 10. It's worse than sucking for 10 years and then not sucking for 2.
I feel really mixed. We can end on this note, but
there's a lot of sucking talk going on in here.
I feel like people are real easy to forgive and forget when someone's made the change, mm-hmm. and I do not think that's enough. Like, even when, and I haven't been a fan of them very much since my conversation with them, but even someone like Pine Creek, who spends 30 plus years as a Christian and then converts to atheism, and then is like an amazing advocate for dismantling religion, and is probably going to spend the rest of his life doing that to some extent. I don't know if that effectively compensates for the years of damage you did, where everyone is so, quick to like, oh, you're different now. Like, what you're doing is so good that we can't even see all of the negative things you did. I'm not putting this just on him, but just in general.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think if you suck for 1 year, you got to not suck for at least 3 to make up for that. There has to be a ratio there of like, it's not equal for sure.
But I think part of not sucking is that it's never equal. I don't think it ever should be. I don't think there's ever a point where you've changed so much or done so much good that it outweighs the bad. I think the reality is like it's oil and water. Like,
you don't know how good I can be, Stephen.
But I think it's supposed to be that it's unabsolvable. Like the idea of like in Catholicism that sin is something that can be absolved, that you can be. I don't think you're ever meant to be forgiven. That mistake is forever. That sin, whatever, is permanent. It doesn't mean you
didn't undo it.
No.
Yeah.
And I think we look at forgiveness in a really short-sighted way, where there's tons of people I respect that used to be pieces of shit. But that doesn't mean that's not still part of them.
Yeah.
And vice versa.
I feel like forgive if you if you must and if you feel you truly have to, never forget.
Yeah. None of these people are forgivable.
No.
Very forgettable.
That is true. Oh, man, in 4 years, we will not remember who these fucking people are.
We'll have our next batch of Republican
fucking wackadoos.
Jesus. This was fun, though. I think the politics stuff, every once in a while, is a fun thing for us to do.
Especially when we can make popcorn. And
that popcorn was the savior of the day.
So
man.
fucking good.
Next time, cheesecake, though.
Oh, boy. Hey, did I tell you I'm like, I'll tell you off the thing. I'm like on a diet now. Like doing good, actually.
Hey, did I tell you I ate cheesecake?
Hell yeah. Sounds nice, dog.
All right. Well, inshallah, dear Trashcats. Appreciate you as always. New big stuff on the way. We got a couple fun ones on the way. So,
fuck yeah, we're gonna make it happen. Thanks again for listening, everybody. Thank you to Approaching Human for the use of his music. You can find his work on SoundCloud at Approaching-Human.
Thanks, John. May the winds of Muhammad be always at your back, dear brother.
Make sure to check out the show page at Trashcats on Instagram for news and art from the show. Check out Facebook for the memes.
For the memes. If you're super bored, you can check out my non-existent art on Instagram at Sky6SKYZ6. We got Hardmen stuff on the way, and
oh boy,
the warfare of music and some other rad shit.
Go straight from hard boys DeSantis and Nikki Haley into some Hardmen with Mr. Khan.
Click clack Eric Khan.
Click click boom. Eric
Pastor
Khan.
click clack. See you guys next time.
That's going to be all for us today. Stay classy, eat trashy.
Go fast, eat trash. It's the winds of Muhammad at my back.
Oh boy, you're going so fast.
So fast. Thank you, Muhammad. I saw a picture of Muhammad the other day.
Oh, hell yeah.
Very pretty.
Oh no, not a good looker.
Ugly.
That's why they don't want you to see him.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know if you wanted to mention the YouTube or not. If we want to.
Also, check us out. I put.
But you have got to go.
Dude, it's so weird. Every time I pee, this yellow stuff comes out. I don't know what's going on.